say I and point to the I as that which doesn't change. It cannot be what happens to you. It cannot be the thoughts. It cannot be the emotions, the feelings that you experience. So what is the nature of I? What does that word mean or point to?
Do not attempt the training techniques you are about to see without consulting a professional. Tonight on Crowder 911,
I don't think Joe Biden knows what he's doing.
a physically inappropriate politician
He's at the point where he gropes every person that walks by. Hey, stop!
wreaks havoc on the lives of his voters.
Joe! Not again.
At first I thought he was cool, but then he started kissing my neck and sniffing me.
No! Hey! No!
This Joe Biden was clearly out of control, and it was time for someone to do something about it.
No!
Quarter person of color Garrett and his co-worker Maddie have been dealing with a politician with no respect for boundaries or personal space.
Hey, Corner Black!
Hey.
What seems to be the problem?
Well, it's Joe Biden here. He won't stop sniffing and kissing people. It's a real problem.
Yeah?
I've done everything. I don't know what to do.
Okay, see, the first thing you did is right now, when you're very tense. You're giving off that energy,
Okay.
and you actually encourage that behavior.
I encourage it?
That's right.
Okay. Oh, what do I do?
The first thing we need you to do is get your Joe Biden to a calm, relaxed state. And we're gonna do that with no talk, no touch, no eye contact. Okay?
Okay.
That's right.
All right.
It's okay to drop the leash. It's okay. It's okay. It's okay. It's okay. Now, you see what I did is I do a small correction when Joe Biden goes in to kiss him. See? I'm stopping the brain from escalating to a state of sexual assault. That's right.
I just feel bad for him. I don't think Joe Biden knows what he's doing.
My correction is not to hurt Joe Biden, but just to snap the brain out of it. Okay, now you try. It's okay.
Okay.
That's okay. No? Calm assertive. Calm assertive. Hey. See, this Quarter Black is giving off a tense energy and escalating. He's asking himself, is it Joe Biden gonna kiss my neck? Is he gonna make a hair puppet? And Joe Biden is already escalating his energy to match. And he's rubbing shoulders and kissing the faces. Calm, assertive. That's it. That's right. That's right. You're the alpha of the pack. Hey, yes, that's it. Okay, correction. Yeah, that's right. Because he can only have water when you say he can have water.
Oh, okay.
That's right. Boundaries, consistency. Now you can have water. You can have. Now, this Quarter Black was doing really good with his Joe Biden. So it's time to introduce a new challenge. Okay, took you, Maddie? It's okay. Go. It's okay.
Coming up on Crowder 911.
That's not good.
And what else would you expect? Of course, anytime we do something with the Democratic nominee, it's Russian national anthem themed strange animal theme song, which, it's interesting. Remember, Barack Obama said to Mitt Romney, hey, Russia, hey, the 80s called. They want their foreign policy back because they said that Russia was a threat. And now apparently the left is very concerned about Russia. China, they're friendly bedfellows. We're glad to be with you. The promo code is Crowder Biden Stream. That's also the hashtag. Use it. Of course, the theme tonight is Insane Asylum. Send in your costumes with a picture of the mug. We will be reading the winner out loud later on today. Of course, this is all sponsored by mug clubbers like you. Letofcutter.com/mug club. Really looking forward to it. I have Audio Wade with me today.
Howdy.
How are you?
Glad to be here.
Gerald A. Could not be here today because he is off. He has mandatory community service. Corda Black Garrett is here. Tim from HR.
Good morning.
And Reg the Bandit, who hopefully won't be looking at the monitor like Oprah all day. You're not that gorgeous.
I look at the monitor to see you because I'm used to looking from afar.
Oh, I see it.
Yeah.
I do. Well, you know
kinda
what?
got
That's
you
a
right
better
now.
look for me.
Reg is
The further you can be. Yeah. Also, if you happen to have like a cheesecloth that you can just put over me, works best. So what predictions do we have tonight? Again, for people out there, we know that some of you were complaining that we were talking over it last time. Here's the deal. We can't show too much of the CNN because then we might get taken down. So do set your television, your iPad, whatever it is, your iPhone, to the stream as well, and we'll try and comment along.
It's a watch along.
It's a watch along, and we don't want to be booted.
Right.
We have many other reasons that we would rather be booted.
That's true.
Yeah.
Than Anderson Cooper getting the best of us. You don't want a 5 foot.
You don't want that.
You don't want a 5'4" gay man getting the better of you.
That's true.
You don't want him taking you out.
No.
Then you're just like Rock Hudson.
Makes you feel bad.
Yeah. Promo code is Crowder Trump Stream. What are your predictions? Reg the Bandit, you're the most brilliant person here. What do you think we'll be seeing tonight? In contrast with Donald Trump, we have, of course, 10 leading or unfair questions were asked on Tuesday. They were both pre-taped, which, take a guess who that favors. This is choking me. I gotta get, whose idea was this?
That was your
stupid stethoscope. No more stethoscopes. I've had it with stethoscopes. What do you predict for tonight?
So I think we'll probably see a little bit more of the Biden that we saw at the DNC. Like, I think they're going to have this controlled enough. They're going to have him pumped full of enough drugs that he will probably be fairly coherent.
That's what I
think it's very likely.
Yeah, I can't verify it, but it was pretty clear that he was.
might be like going to Nootropics Depot and getting some paracetam or something. That's what you mean.
I'm sure he's on the nootropics
he's eating
subreddit.
his eggs and anchovies, brain food. That's what you mean.
But no, I would love to see the more normal off-script Biden that you see, or when he goes off script and he botches everything without the teleprompter. But I think this is probably going to be controlled enough that it may be kind of plain.
Yeah, I think it might be kind of plain. This is why they pre-taped it, of course. I don't know if we'll see any obvious cuts, which, by the way, brings us to the drinking game rules. Let's bring those up. The drinking game rules. Anytime that Biden gets a softball question, you drink. Anytime he has a dementia moment, you know what that is. It's a very broad umbrella, but we think it applies. Anytime he blames President Trump or he tries to talk tough. In my day, I'd take you behind the bike racks and sniff you.
How many push-ups do you want to do?
You want to do your pal?
I don't know. You're 92, so I'm willing to bet that I'll do it better than your paper-mache wrists. Anytime he stutters, what are the other ones? Anytime he stutters or lies. But I repeat myself, you hear that ding, and you will take a drink. Also, Smooth Manny, come on in here. Of course, many of you love Smooth Manny for the truth according to Smooth Manny. And he will be in here anytime that Joe Biden is asked a softball question. Again, we have up here, we counted for the Trump live stream 10 unfair or leading questions. And we predicted that tonight we'll see the exact opposite, hence the reason for a pre-tape, that you will see softball questions. And any time that Joe Biden gets a softball question, I will be forced to electrocute Smooth Manny. I'm sorry about that.
Yikes.
There's the rules. There's nothing I can do.
So if Joe Biden gets a softball question, we're going to electrocute Manny?
Yes. That is precisely
I don't
correct.
understand the logic of the...
Well, you know what? I don't know why he would have to question it.
Yeah, like don't...
We were asking where the logic is in a Biden town hall.
Well,
this man
that's
could be
not what
leader of the free world, and you're upset that one of our producers gets a little bit of a shock here and there. Grow up. What's your prediction for tonight, Audio Wade?
Well, so it's hard for me not to think about this, but I think that Biden's been so coached. I think it is such a controlled environment. I would be surprised if there were some kind of Biden moments, but then again, I wouldn't be surprised. It's a confusing thing. I mean, are there going to be any obvious cuts? Are there going to be obvious questions fed to him?
I foresee a lot of editing.
Answers?
I don't see. I think it might be
ahead.
too obvious for them to do editing. Everyone here seems to think that they'll actually do cuts. I think that would be too obvious to spot, and I think it would be too big of a scandal. I mean, when you think that Donna Brazil was just feeding a couple questions via her AOL online and or her Net Zero account.
I think though that's probably will be very heavily pre-written.
Yes, I think it'll be pre-written, and I wouldn't be surprised if he had the questions first. So I don't think that we need I'm not saying it's a conspiracy. I don't think it will be edited. I think it'll probably be live to tape, but he has all of the information that he needs beforehand so that he's prepared to answer these questions, which even then, like Biden, here's the thing, Biden, obviously we've had these videos where you can see him using a teleprompter. He used a teleprompter on a Skype call with James Corden. And he made no sense with Cardi B. This man's going to stare down Putin? Or whatever the leader of the Chinese
this could be like
Liberation Front is. I have no idea what it is at this point, whatever they're calling themselves.
Yeah.
And I can't tell them apart. The point is, I think that we're really giving him... there's too much of a risk of low expectations with Joe Biden. That is true right now. Yeah. If he comes out and he does anything better than actually, we'll go to this clip E, people will call it a... They'll almost be calling this... it's like Disney when they advertise their own films. It's like, a triumph, a masterpiece, a landslide victory. Aladdin is out from the vault. Well, you're saying it yourself. You just pulled it out from Walt Disney's Nazi-patched frozen corpse, and you're telling us about what a great film this is. But if he does anything better than this, which just happened recently, everyone will call it a victory. And I don't even know what he's trying to say here.
Because if you could take care, if you were a quartermaster, you can sure in hell take care of running a department store thing, where in the second floor of the ladies department or whatever. You know what I mean?
I don't know what he was saying,
but
it sounded both slightly racist and rapey.
It's like a dungeon.
You're a quartermaster. We're watching Roots, and then you get the ladies, Fredericks of Hollywood panties.
Is quartermaster like a Dungeons and Dragons sort of thing?
Yeah. So if you roll a 15 or higher, you can get an AC of.
I googled, and it's apparently some kind of military officer. But what was fascinating
to
me
about the military?
Well, what was fascinating to me is that I looked at the Google trend for quartermaster, and you see nobody knows what quartermaster.
And again, that's a victory. You're like, look at this.
Spike.
I started that.
That's me.
I'm the original influencer.
Yeah.
By the way, there's also a rumor going around that he wanted the nickname the Duke, but he didn't realize it had been taken from John Wayne. He's just incredibly unoriginal. And in our preparation, the other Duke. I'm the other Duke. What? Where's the beef? What are you saying? Things? Okay, Biden, you soil yourself again? I think the biggest challenge is going to have a really directional microphone so that you don't hear his Depends crinkle. I'd be surprised if he walks across the stage sounding anything other than a bag of Lay's. I would consider that a victory.
Yeah, well, but people will be able to tell the difference, not just from Joe Biden of 5 years ago to Joe Biden now, but also between Joe Biden and Trump. People who have seen this tonight will have watched the other night. And no matter what your political persuasion is, you can tell that one of these people is healthy and ready to continue to lead the world, and the other is not.
Think about what a miracle this is. In 2016, right, people talked about how Donald Trump's Achilles heel was that he was not likable. And they decided to run Hillary Clinton. And now they've been trying to say that he's too unstable to be commander-in-chief.
Yeah.
And they've run Joe Biden.
Yeah.
Anyone else. And even Kamala Harris doesn't buy it. She said in a Harris administration, and Biden's too dumb to notice. He's like, I don't be one of the
I support women. I support women, strong black women.
I support I just, I'm a quartermaster. I just support the Indian half. What are you saying, Joe Biden? I don't know. Something about the military? And in preparing for this, what is kind of remarkable is it basically was the same prep that we had for Donald Trump. We were preparing for the climate change, for COVID, for calling the military losers and suckers. And what they're just going to do is ask Joe Biden. They're going to say, okay, hey, Donald Trump, what about when you called the military suckers and losers? Hey, Joe Biden, what about when Donald Trump called the military suckers and losers? Yeah. What do we think the chances are that they ask about Burisma, they ask about his son, they ask about the unsavory business relations, they ask about the fact that he pushed for criminal laws that jailed nonviolent drug offenders? What do you think what do you think the chances are that they ask him about the gropey, rapey history? Tara Reid.
Right.
I think Anderson Cooper might try and appear less biased than Stefan Oppenheimer.
Yeah, well, and in the crowd, I think it is just Democrats and independents.
That's correct.
Oh, really?
There are no Republicans.
Really?
There are no
Whereas with Donald Trump, there were 2 Republicans.
Right. Yeah, so CNN's chosen all the attendees, and they're only Democrats and independents. And that's...
Which, by the way, they repeat themselves. Only Democrats and independents. If you are an independent in September of 2020, you're a Democrat. Like, what does it take? What does it take? You have over $2 billion, according to insurance companies now. We've been talking about this, Reg. We had to use the number $700 million in damages, and I kept saying, I can't prove this. I'm pretty sure it's over $2 billion. Well, now insurance companies are saying at least $1 to $2 billion. What does it take with over 30 deaths at these riots and protests, $2 billion in damages, not outright condemning Black Lives Matter and Antifa? How could you still be an independent at this point? I mean, I understand if you're a commie, right? If you're a red shirt commie, I understand that, but I don't understand how you could be politically neutral at this point in time in the United States.
Baffling.
You haven't made up your mind yet? What it requires Anderson Cooper? Anderson Cooper is the one who's going to push you over the edge?
I don't understand. Swayed. I'm listening to your arguments.
I think we're actually behind on the TV.
Are we behind on the TV? Let's go to this really quickly because I feel as though, are we behind? Oh, it started. Okay, let's go. CNN right now. Let's listen to the town hall.
We're still behind.
We still are behind. Yes. Bring it up to live right now. Bring it up to the little box here, Quarter Black Garrett.
There we go.
And we are live. Remember, set it and watch along. Let's go. Joe Biden.
To provide for the safety. That requires some federal funding, particularly kids going back to school. Making sure that we're in a position that there's testing and tracing and get testing quickly. There's a whole range of things we should have done. I laid it out all the way back in March how we should do that. The president has totally disregarded it. He continues to think that masks don't matter very much, although he says it, and then he has these large gatherings only with everybody around with no masks on, and it's extremely dangerous.
Yeah,
so
almost as dangerous as 30 deaths and $2 billion in riots.
A lot of people not being able to see their families.
It's close.
Oh, by the way, what plan do you have to keep us from contracting COVID-19 in the workworkplace? Compared to the question of Donald Trump, I would certainly consider that a softball.
For sure.
So, everybody, drink.
How many push-ups how much will change?
Mr. Vice President,
well, I didn't hear the ding, but sorry, Manny, there's nothing I can do.
You don't have to do this.
I do.
If you were president, could you see a scenario where you downplayed critical information?
Oh my God! Sorry, Manny. There's nothing I can do. Another softball leading question. That one was actually a leading question against Donald Trump for Joe Biden. Wow. Did you ever see downplaying the pandemic as that other piece of shit did?
The other guy. You'd never do that sort of thing, would you, Joe?
What has he done? Imagine, and by the way, Columbia University Medical School pointed out, if he had just acted 1 month, 1 week earlier, he would have saved 37,000 lives. All the way back, and I was on one of your shows, all the way back in March, I was calling for the need for us to have masks, have the president stand and tell us what's going on.
Let me look at this timeline here. All I know about Joe Biden is that he said Donald Trump was xenophobic for the travel ban. Then he completely disappeared. He completely disappeared for months. He wasn't out there talking about masks. And by the way, he's saying he was talking about masks in March. That would have been before the CDC said you should have masks. Remember that?
Yep.
We didn't talk about quarantine month. Was it April or March? Was it April or March?
April was March.
And we were saying, despite what the CDC tells you, we think if you have the sniffles, it's a good idea to wear a mask preventatively for people around you. The CDC was saying, don't wear masks. That is absolutely a lie. Let me hear the question, though, first.
How will you get the proper messaging out to all Americans to keep them informed as to how to properly protect themselves and others from this pandemic?
What presidents say matter. People listen.
Softball question and blaming Trump, so drink twice.
What is needed to be done. I cannot mandate people wearing masks, but we just been told if we should expect another 215,000 dead by January. But if we wore a mask, we'd save 100,000 lives.
By the way, that's his first word, Whisker. Another 215,000 dead.
We have to make sure we lay out to the American people the truth. Tell them the truth. And
that man's chin is also his neck.
Every governor in the country,
it's a combo.
Into the White House, say you should be putting mandates out. If they don't, I'd call the mayors in their towns and their cities and say, put out mandates. You can save lives, and we should be providing for the PPE, the protective gear that is needed. Look, you know what recently happened? The President of the United States said that no longer would we, in fact, provide masks for schools. For schools, pay them to have the mask in school because it was not a national emergency. What is he talking about? It's totally irrational. And look, this is all about one thing, the stock market. He doesn't want to see anything happen. It's all about his reelection. It should be about the American people.
The only person who would have less of a leg to stand on calling it irrational would be Glenn Close in Fatal Attraction, boiling the kid's pet rabbit.
Recently. He said, if in fact you just wore this mask, nothing else but this mask, you would save between now and January another 100,000 lives.
Watermelon.
And so we have to be honest with the American people.
This is a bald man's hairbrush.
They know, and Franklin Roosevelt said, things get worse and worse before they get better and better, but you got to level with the American people. Shoot from the shoulder.
There it is.
Shoot from the shoulder. Step up. This president should step down.
Mr. Vice President, you've called the president's rallies irresponsible.
Is that the answer?
You praised peaceful protesting this summer. What is the difference when it comes to COVID safety?
I think COVID safety is a problem no matter where people are wearing masks. If they don't have masks on, the context of praising people who protest peacefully is there was about a question of right to speak. Not to loot, not to burn, not to do anything that causes damage. The right to speak out makes sense, but we should be careful across the board. Across the board.
You don't quite want them to follow your lead,
but there is a big difference between people walking, moving along, and people sitting down, cheek to jowl, shoulder to shoulder, 1,000 of them, breathing on one another, indoors and out. That causes real serious problems.
You said about a month ago that for the next 3 months,
I guess it doesn't matter while they're firebombing police cars or setting fires in the Oregon and California forests.
Details.
These are details.
Well, and Gavin Newsom has taken that logically to mean churches shouldn't be sitting next to each other, breathing on each other.
In some states, in some towns, they had actually outdoor courts to find people who weren't wearing masks. Is that something you would like to see happen in states?
I would like to see the governors enforce mask wearing, period. I can do that on federal property. As president, I will do that. On federal land, I'd have the authority. If you're on federal land, you must wear a mask. In a federal building, you must wear a mask. And we could have a fine for them not doing it. Look, this is about saving people's lives. There's no question that it saves people's lives.
To those who say it's individual liberty not to wear a mask.
Well, let me tell you something. You know, what Bill Barr recently said is outrageous. That is like slavery. We're taking away freedom. I would tell you what takes away your freedom. What takes away your freedom is not being able to see your kid, not being able to go to the football game or baseball game, not being able to see your mom or dad sick in the hospital, not being able to do the things.
You don't believe in visitation rights right now, or that football should happen. I'll tell you what's tough is if you can't go to the football game because I would shut it down.
He knew the detail of it. He knew it in clear terms. Imagine had he at the State of the Union
keep in mind that Barack Obama, of course, before extending it, the left, these were people who were furious about the Patriot Act. And I was against the Patriot Act, right? Where they had the right to spy on Americans they thought were actually involved with terrorism. It affected very, very few Americans, but they cannot fathom the fact that Bill Barr said this is the greatest intrusion on civil liberties since slavery. And he did delineate, saying, by the way, slavery was very different from this. Of course it is. You've shut down businesses forever. How could anyone argue with that? Let's see, Red Skull.
I am on a drug that has compromised my immune system. My question for you is when the students come back in person to school, will you and your administration mandate the vaccine to be taken like the MMR to enter the school when it becomes safe and available to the public, because I love teaching, but I don't want to die.
Hey, by the way, how do you know someone's a nurse or a teacher? They tell you immediately.
I am a teacher and I love teaching.
I am a teacher.
Like how she
I call myself a teacher. Others, hero. I say teacher.
Joe, look, first of all, I don't trust the president on vaccines.
That's true.
I trust Dr. Fauci. If Fauci says the vaccine is safe, I take the vaccine. That we should listen to the scientists, not to the president, number one.
Did he say the
number
scientist?
Two, I think we should
singular. What about other scientists? What about ones who didn't push the false narrative that everyone would get AIDS and screw up the HIV pandemic like Fauci? How about scientists, Joe?
To do that, to sanitize, to provide for more teachers and smaller classes and smaller mods, making sure the ventilation systems are functioning, dealing across the board to make it safer so that schools, when they open, they are safer. But with regard to you should be in a position where if, in fact, the vaccine, there's no vaccine that's going to be guaranteed 100%. So you're going to have a tough decision you have to make, and whether or not, but you should be able to be in a position where you are behind plastic, you are in a sanitized circumstance, and you are teaching.
Copyright.
I would not take the chance, even if
Down on YouTube,
everyone
copyright?
had been vaccinated,
well,
because of your
is there a way to get it back
compromised
up?
immune system.
You're still on Blaze,
And
though.
so, and by the way, some teachers have already died.
All right, listen, just so people who are watching, we got was it CNN copyright? Do we know? Can we check?
And she plans on teaching.
Warner Brothers. How have we been taken down from Warner Brothers? Is Warner Brothers own CNN? Oh, Time Warner. Is it Time Warner? Is it Time Warner? Time Warner has taken us down right now. Let's hold on one second. We are going to well, actually, we're going to keep covering this. Manny, get out of here right now, Smooth Manny, and figure out how we're going to be getting back on YouTube. Use the promo code Crowder Biden stream. Sorry, and that's the hashtag. You get $20 off if you join Mug Club. We need to find out how to get this back up.
They
on
already
YouTube.
have Mug Club.
They already have Mug Club. People who are watching here on the Blaze Mug Club. We might want to get it up on Instagram and let people know. This is and by the way, we showed less of this than ever before.
Yeah.
We showed less of this than ever before. We might need to get half Asian Bill Richmond on the phone as well, because this is absolutely unreal that they did this so quickly and so early on. So what time? It's a YouTube community guidelines.
Due to community guideline strikes or copyright issues, you can't live stream at this time.
Oh, so it's a hard strike.
Yeah. So
it's
we're
a
down.
hard strike for clearly transformative content where we are streaming this right now. Now, here's the thing. I bet you this is what happened, okay? And I can't verify this, but we didn't get any issue with the Trump live stream. Now, keep in mind, ABC Disney, that was the company that went after us before with the Oscars, and then they stopped. They were not actively going after anyone streaming the Trump live stream because they assumed that it would all be negative, of course,
We
on
are
YouTube.
still on Facebook, by the way.
We are
So
still
if-
on Facebook.
Go
So
over
we're
to
on Facebook. But I'm telling people on Facebook are the Blaze right now, so they're already there. I can't tell people to go somewhere.
Tell
where they
other
already
people.
Are.
Tell other people.
You know what you are right now? You're like the guy who forgets that the power is out at his house.
Turn the light on. Turn the light on.
Damn, I was making dinner. I guess I'll just go microwave some soup. The power's out. I can't tell them to go to Facebook. There is no problem, and we showed far more of the stream, by the way, with the Donald Trump stream, because they assumed it would be negative. Same thing right here, like we talked about with the DNC. Remember that when all of a sudden, Reg, you remember this, right?
Yeah.
You remember that with the DNC stream, Joe Biden's speech, they changed the likes to dislikes ratio. Now, of course it can happen where there's a lag and likes can go up later on. But I have never seen anywhere else likes switch over from mostly dislikes to then mostly likes and fewer dislikes. So I want to be clear right here. I'm not saying that every time a video gets a bunch of dislikes that it's a conspiracy, or that any time that YouTube all of a sudden includes some likes on a Biden speech that there's a conspiracy. But when you have dislikes actually go down in number while the likes go up in number, which we saw with the Biden DNC stream, that is something that I have not seen anywhere else, and we've always given YouTube the benefit of the doubt as it deals with lags, right? And now let's also keep in mind that big tech, again, YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, Alphabet owns Google, and they work with Time Warner, they work with ABC Disney. These are some of the major sponsors who spend money on YouTube. We know this because we had to struggle with both ABC Disney before and Vox Universal. These are the people who are in cahoots and have said that you should not accept the election results on the night of the election, that they will fact check it. Can anyone find for me, has Jack Dorsey, has anyone at YouTube or Facebook said that they will fact check if Biden declares victory on election night? Can anyone find that shit for me? This is yet another example of, I don't want to say censorship, I want to say selective enforcement of the rules. If YouTube wants to say that you cannot do a watch along with any kind of a town hall, it needs to be applied equally. We did it with President Trump, we did it with the DNC, we're now doing it here with the Biden stream. The only thing different is that it's Biden instead of Trump. And something that sets some context here, if you look at the RNC versus the DNC, the feedback online, particularly on YouTube, was overwhelmingly negative for Biden and the DNC and overwhelmingly positive for Trump. You don't think that someone at Time Warner, who again are some of the biggest advertisers, one of the biggest partnerships with YouTube that you could possibly imagine, you don't think they said, hey, there's something we've got to do here because we are not pulling in the same numbers online. We're pulling in numbers with the geriatrics who are being sold reverse mortgages from Magnum PI on traditional television, but online, Trump is kicking our asses. What can we do? You know what? We'll make sure that we enforce the copyright strikes and community guideline strikes, no less, on the Biden stream going forward. Again, it just seems to be all the time there are likes and dislikes that switch with the Biden DNC, and it goes in Biden's favor. Selectively, it's enforced when it's not going well for Joe Biden, very clearly. All of a sudden, the streams that are critical of Joe Biden get taken off. It would be one thing if these little mistakes went in both directions, but statistically they don't. You can see our previous videos where we've talked about this for a very long time. Statistically, it overwhelmingly favors the left algorithmically, just like Tulsi Gabbard in those searches, just like when you search Steven Crowder, Change My Mind Abortion, you would find a 6-year-old PBS video with 452 views. There is no balance in the errors that occur on YouTube. I don't care if they say, hey, you can't do a live watch along for Trump or Biden, fine. We'll do it here exclusively at Mug Club. That's fine. We can do it at the Blaze. That's fine by me. But you cannot allow one and not allow the other, provided it's critical. That is the issue that we have, is this selective application of the rules. There is no difference in how we are covering this, except for the fact that we've actually shown less of the stream thus far.
It was manually detected, so that means somebody manually struck our channel.
Yeah. And CNN's are owned by Turner. I don't think it's so. I don't understand
why
the
is
Warner
WB?
I don't understand
The
Warner.
Turner's at Time Warner.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I thought it was Time Warner owns. Does Time Warner own CNN?
I believe so.
I got it mixed up.
Can you find that for us, Reg?
Yeah, sure.
I know it's Turner.
I mean,
Turner.
well, yeah,
obviously
Warner
is
Media.
Yeah, so that's CNN.
And I mean, the thing was, Biden was not looking good tonight.
No, he was looking terrible.
And I was wrong. He looked pretty bad. So, you know, it's.
He was already getting the numbers wrong and saying we're going to have 215,000 more deaths and mandate masks, and you're a quarterling. He's looking bad right now. This is not going well for him, and they are softball questions across the board.
That's why they have people out there looking.
Any shadow of a doubt right now, with our experience, someone manually detected it. This wasn't automatic, which should mean, by the way, right now, hopefully someone makes a fucking call that someone can manually fix this at YouTube immediately. And by the way, we know because we have some of these folks on speed dial. YouTube, you are not supposed to let this happen. Step in and do the right thing. You're also on Pacific time. Someone is in the office right now, if only to have some kind of diversity training. We know that you do that on Thursdays. So make this right. Someone manually fixed it. Someone manually rigged this system right now. You know that it's a totally invalid strike. You know it. We've talked about this before. Every single time we've had one of these strikes before, it has been resolved because it is undoubtedly fair use. Don't do the bullshit where you say you have to go through the system. They didn't go through the system. Someone abused the system manually. And you want to talk about David and Goliath?
Right.
This is the idea, too, right? We were talking about critical race theory.
Yeah.
The idea of critical race theory is that there's always an oppressor, provided that you're in some kind of a majority. That's the same reason that you have the left, the reason that they support Palestine over Israel, just because one has actual weapons and one has rocks. It doesn't matter that their charter says throw rocks at someone for being a Jew, and Israel has a defense policy that is, hey, defend yourself if someone throws a rock at you for being a Jew. It's, hey, you're the underdog, therefore you are morally correct. The only place it doesn't apply, however, is when you have conservatives on new media kicking the ass of legacy media who have more money than God compared to us. Guess what? Ask me how much I own of Louder with Crowder.
How much do you own of Louder?
Take a guess. Take a wild guess. 100%. And that's not Biden math. That's accurate. 100%.
That's real, man.
Ask me compared to even young Turks who have, what, 20 million? 20 million in one round plus 15 million from foreign investors, Al Jazeera, Qatar money. Ask how much money I've ever received as a lump sum to invest in Louder with Crowder.
How many?
$0. $0. We have a licensing agreement with the Blaze for moments just like this, and we are incredibly appreciative of them, where we were already generating a profit for them, and so we split it so that we don't have to do all of the legwork with the paywall and the app. That's very difficult for us to do. We have never had foreign investors or outside mega investors come in. CNN obviously can't say that. They're owned by a multimedia conglomerate. ABC News, Disney, Vox, Universal, NBC. You can't even say it about these new media entities on the left, like the Young Turks, and almost anyone is in their network. Let's see what happens, by the way, with them right now. Let's see what happens as they cover these events. It is remarkable. I'm not bitching. I just want equal application of the rules. Right now, someone manually flagged this. You know it's bullshit. YouTube, you can manually fix it. Let's hopefully get that going. I don't know if anyone here wants to be taping something for Instagram, so we get it up there to let people know to go to the Blaze. But if someone wants to come in here and let me know if we want to do that, I apologize to everyone who is watching right now. We're going to try and get as many people migrated over to the Blaze as we can, and of course Facebook. Until someone comes in and lets me know about that, let's watch more of the town hall.
And another community, a rural community, not have that at all, because the rate of infection is much lower. Number one. Number two, think of what he has said. Look, wearing this mask is about making sure, and when you wear it, making sure no one else gets sick. It's not to protect you so much, it's to make sure you don't infect someone else.
Mr. Biden, that's a
I
ball
call that a
gag.
patriotic requirement. I call that what we should be doing right now. And if the president had done his job from the beginning.
Even his body language. Look at this. He goes, if the president had
all the people, I'm not making this up, just look at the data.
What in holy hell?
Look at the data.
Yeah, I see so many black
we're now being
faces.
told there's going to be no, I pray to God there's
one of his
a
coaches needs
vaccine
to tell him to not
tomorrow
look so
that could be
confused.
available to everyone.
It's not a
First of all, once a vaccine is made available, and you know this well, once it's made available, it's
You know
going
this
to take
well with the
a
Prev
long,
pill?
long time to be able to distribute it throughout the country.
Prep,
You're not going to have 325 million vials to begin with. And the way in which it's transported, there's two kinds of vaccines that they're talking about. One is an one relates to changing the cell structure, and the other relates to
drinking that
engaging
short
immune system.
circuit.
They
One is
require different ways to transport it.
You don't really have to have me go through these motions, right? You're just going to cover this like I did really good.
And taking 2 shots. So the idea that there's going to be a vaccine and everything's going to be fine tomorrow is just not rational, not reasonable.
Do you think the comments by the Attorney General contribute to people, encourage people not to wear masks?
Sure, quite frankly, they're
Softball
sick.
question. When Manny gets back in, he's going to have to be electrocuted for a straight
Did you
minute.
ever think, any of you,
You're not drinking
you'd
on the
hear
drinking game.
Attorney
I
General
didn't even
say
register that one, yeah.
that following the recommendations of the scientific community to save your and other people's lives is equivalent to slavery. People
No,
being
he
put in
didn't.
chains.
No, he did
Oh,
not.
my God.
He said it is the great. Okay, I don't know if we can pull up that clip, but it doesn't matter. I think I have the exact quote. He said it is the greatest intrusion on civil liberties probably since slavery. And he said in slavery, of course, was an intrusion for an entirely different reason. He said it was. He was very clear to differentiate. But let me ask you this: people just say, "Oh, it's absurd," because you mentioned slavery. Although for some reason we don't use that with the Nazi card anymore, right? The punch a Nazi. It's not considered an absurd comparison to compare a president who pushes for deregulation, more freedom of speech, and lower taxes with the National Socialist fucking party. Apparently that's a reasonable comparison to make. But when, again, he provided context. Barr said this is the greatest intrusion on civil liberties since likely slavery, and of course that was for a different reason. Let me ask you this. What greater intrusion can you think of outside of locking down businesses, forcing children to stay home, not go to school, and fining businesses in many cities thousands of dollars, not allowing people to visit dying relatives because someone in the government who couldn't get their science right for 3 months, you wear a mask, you don't wear a mask, says so. Can anyone think of, at least in our lifetime, greater intrusion on our civil liberties?
And I think Yelp recently said that 60% of the businesses that are on their platform had to close permanently. Which is heartbreaking for these small businesses that are just trying to make a living. I can't think of anything that is more affects the average person.
I want you to hold that thought. Let's hear what she.
I bet you she's a feminist. Careers at good companies that afforded them the opportunity to save for retirement, which is helping to pay for her care. Mr. Vice President, what is your plan to make health care affordable so Americans don't need to drain their savings when care is necessary?
Oh my God! There's so much. This is why this has been banned from YouTube. This is so much worse than I anticipated. Mr. Vice President, what will you do to make sure that things are cheaper? Because we know that you want to. Thank you very much. Will you sign my cast? This is unreal to me. It's so much worse than I thought. I know why. Someone was ready. Someone was sitting there with their mouse ready to double.
They were ready to go.
Probably Anderson Cooper's boyfriend. You know, the guy he plays doctor with, Rock Hudson, Gomer Pyle, a little bit of role playing. Let's pop a few Prev pills. Who's the wiser? Don't tell anyone about Stelter there in the Vietnamese sex hammock in the closet. He has to keep up appearances, love. My issue here, this is so egregious.
Well, you notice how you notice how he's functioning. With Stephanopoulos, he was interrupting Trump and saying, that's not true, that's not right. Anderson Cooper is like the guy over there in Biden's line, and he's like, well, maybe Barr, that helped too, right? He's like helping him out, here you go,
Let me
Grandpa.
help you along, Joe Biden. Like you don't have to take levodopa like that film with Robert De Niro in the insane asylum.
Yeah, well, they know that he, again, with the eyebrows down, he really looks confused. He looks a little like he doesn't quite know what's going on.
Well, and if we look at just some of the people forget that Biden, when this first happened, he did not lay out some big plan of how he was going to do everything. He didn't hold a press conference for months. People were panicking. Even left-wing publications were, saying why did Joe Biden disappear right as the coronavirus pandemic exploded?
Both left and right. And by the way, the only kind of appearance that he made was actually a proxy. He sends his own proxies, though. He still sends his own proxies. Was his advisor who said that it was safe to vote in the Democratic primaries.
Yeah, because the CDC said no gatherings of over 50 people, and so the Sanders camp said, yeah, do whatever, and they said, Simone Sanders went on there and said, yeah, I don't know what they're talking about. CDC
I think we actually have that clip G.
Yeah, we do.
If you guys can bring it up, clip G. This is while Biden wasn't appearing anywhere. He was apparently hiding with the Fraggles. Simone Sanders had this to say.
Oh, Simone.
Our democracy is extremely important. Even in times of strife in this country, we have to do our duty. So the CDC and folks have said it's safe out there for Tuesday. So I don't know what Senator Sanders was talking about, but I'll tell you, Governor DeWine said it was safe in Ohio. So I encourage people to get out there and vote on Tuesday.
She also is just as nonsensical, only more energetic.
Oh, yeah.
And when was that?
March 15th.
That was March 15th.
Yeah. So they were when they were trying to beat Biden. I mean, when they were trying to beat Sanders, it was important to get out and vote.
Yes.
Now Fauci is saying it's fine to get out and vote, and they're saying no, it's too dangerous.
Right. But Biden trusts Fauci, right? Didn't he say?
Yeah.
The experts.
The scientist?
Oh, the scientist. The singer. Yeah.
Come on, man. The scientist. What happened to the scientist? Apparently they didn't give a rat's ass back then.
Well, people also forget that back in March, Trump wanted to do more, right? He wanted to put a quarantine on New York, and Cuomo said that would be illegal. They were just furious about it, right? So there were things that Trump wanted to do back then that they were saying that's unconstitutional. The president doesn't have the authority to do that.
Right.
They get all limited presidential powers.
Well, it's amazing how, and I know people point out the inconsistency. Here's something that I want to make clear, okay? It's not about hypocrisy. Everyone is a hypocrite, okay? For example, Christians out there can be against pornography and struggle with wanting to look at tits. Okay, let me just be clear about that. That's hypocrisy. That's falling short of your own standards. It's not hypocrisy when Nancy Pelosi wants to ban churches from gathering and she shows up to get a blowout. It's not hypocrisy. It's, do you really think Nancy Pelosi is afraid to go out and vote? It's that she's not actually afraid. She doesn't actually think it's dangerous. It's not that it's hypocrisy. It's that she doesn't believe it. Someone can believe that drugs are bad and struggle with addiction. Someone who tells you it's unsafe to go out, you're taking your life in your hands, and they go into a particle vortex that is known as a circular turbine fucking dryer, is not afraid of it. Al Gore, when he rides around, not driving, I guess he's not driving, rides around in a private jet. It's not that it's hypocritical to go out there and make a film that a Supreme Court ruled had 9 significant errors with an inconvenient truth. But it's that, listen, if you really thought that it was going to be Terminator 2 Judgment Day with Sarah Connor shaking on the fence, you could fly first class. You could at least take a piston plane. You could take a turbine plane. You could fly a Pilatus PC-12. It doesn't have to be the top-of-the-line Learjet or 747. It's not about hypocrisy. It's about the fact that these people don't believe it. It's not that it's hypocritical for Joe Biden to say back then, it's okay, you can go out and vote in the primaries, and now say that it's deathly scary out there. It's certain death if when you thought it was safe to vote. Election 2. It's not that. It's not that it's hypocritical. It's that he doesn't believe it. Do you really think that Joe Biden is afraid of it? What was the name of that broad reporter who was arguing with Kayleigh McEnany? I can't pronounce her name. She was arguing with her about masks, and she was arguing about how unsafe it was. And then we see her, as soon as the cameras stop rolling, she's taking off her mask.
Whip it right off.
Immediately. It's not that it's hypocritical. hypocritical. It's that they don't believe it. They don't believe it, and they want to enforce these rules upon you, the American public, that they don't even think are necessary, and they don't believe will do anything. It's not hypocrisy. People need to stop saying hypocrisy, because that's like pointing to someone who's in a high jump, and they didn't make a perfect Fosbury flop, and you're saying, oh, okay, you know what, you suck, you missed it. Well, you're in the stands, you didn't enter the arena. It's not about hypocrisy. Does anyone here truly believe that Nancy Pelosi is afraid to go outside?
Well, the compassionate liberal idea is maybe true on the ground. It may be true of like your friends that are like, well, this guy actually is compassionate and wants people, but he's just confused about the ideas.
Right.
But from the top, there are no compassionate liberals. It's all a mask for, again, just uncaring acquisition of power.
Yeah, it's a big facade of caring and emotion.
Because that's the quickest path to power.
Yep.
That's what they realized.
I care about you, so vote for me.
Yes.
Is it okay, you ever played do you call it White Elephant, the gift exchange thing?
Yeah.
Well, we used to call it Chinese gift exchange.
Hey.
Oh, that's...
Yeah.
We're all woke here, though.
I understand. Well, half Asian Bill is not here.
Because it comes from China.
Well, it's just because they steal things.
Yeah.
Dishonest, untrustworthy. I think that's where it came from. So, listen. Come on. Rather than just open communications, they built a wall. That's how they decided to treat the Mongolians.
Sure.
And it was breached 3 times because they were so busy telling everyone how much everyone outside their country sucked that they forgot to instill actual morals, and so people were greased.
Anyway.
Their palms were greased. They let them in. The point is Chinese gift exchange.
Bring it around.
When you play that game, is there anything compassionate about stealing the cool gift and making them go fish another one? That's what the liberal policy is. It's not your money. Nancy Pelosi has 2 deep freezers just so she can keep her chunky monkey frigid, for crying out loud.
Everything that Joe Biden owns, you paid for.
Everything that Joe Biden owns, you paid for.
Yeah.
This man has been suckling at the public teat for as long as he has been sniffing children.
Yeah. Which is a while.
Let me see this.
Which is a while.
And potentially upcoming elections is in question for the upcoming November 3rd election. If elected,
thanks for reminding
what
us the
steps
date,
would
sweetheart.
you take to ensure voters in future elections do not face the same uncertainty that their vote will be counted in time for election results?
Number one, I would not try to throw into question the legitimacy of the election like this president and the people around him have done.
You're the one!
You did, come on.
Piece of shit!
Number two,
You demented old piece of circus monkey shit!
He can't remember.
You want us to vote like we've always voted! You're the one who said that people cannot go out and vote in person unless it's a Democratic primary, in which case, I don't know, it's up in the air, because they'll die even if they wear a mask. Also, let's just take a minute to appreciate the irony from this evening alone. He said the most important thing you can do is wear this mask. Why? Because Donald Trump doesn't wear a mask very often because it doesn't work when he's on a podium and he's 9 feet away and he wants to make it political. Well, if the most important thing you can do is wear a mask, why can't people who go out and buy groceries and are going to theaters now, and in Nashville, by the way, in Tennessee, the contraction rates, the transmission rates were so low they didn't release them for fear of people understanding that it wasn't as dangerous to go out. If the mask is the most important thing, then why can't people put on the mask and go vote?
Right?
Yeah. He wants to. How does the guy who wants us to vote the way we've always voted, how is he the one who's throwing the election into question? I know people say this. I feel like I'm taking crazy pills. We have the big social media tech giants who have shut down this stream. They've openly said that we will fact check if Donald Trump claims victory on election night. In other words, we will make sure to take down information where Donald Trump is claiming victory on the night where we have always claimed victory for the presidential candidate and not a peep about Biden. This is unreal to me. I don't want to sow mistrust in the American electoral process. I'm like, you want to do away with the Electoral College, you elitist prick?
Wow.
The last time you were in Scranton, Pennsylvania, you went to a diner that didn't even exist.
All men and women created by you know the thing.
Hey, Manny's back.
Yeah, I'll need another drink. Sorry, Manny. Put down, I think it was about 6 other softballs.
Those places to mail your ballots. I mean, it's just as all about trying to delegitimize the effort.
It was really sick.
Do you think that President Trump has said that he's not yet said that he'd be willing to accept the results of the November election? Would you commit tonight to accepting the results of the election?
Sure, if the full results.
Said
count every vote.
Would accept.
Look, I mean, Can you ever think of,
Hold on,
can
I don't wanna
anybody,
waste- hold on a
any of
second.
you are history
Helmet
majors
fall off. I
out
don't
there
wanna
think
waste
many
my-
of you-
got his chair.
I'm
You're
not
an
sure I'm going to
environmentalist,
accept
for
the results of the election. It depends. What's happened to us?
This
in
seems
This is
cruel.
not who
I don't-
we are.
I don't
No,
feel
it's
good about
perfectly
this.
fine.
This is not
He'll be
what
fine.
America
We're not making him go
The drool
outside.
is just a little drool. Don't worry about it.
He might catch COVID.
I want to introduce
Might
you
catch
to
COVID
Mavis
outside.
Ball, a Democrat from
got his
Philadelphia,
white
who recently relocated from Texas, PTA president, and is a member of the school board for her son's school. Mavis?
Hello, Vice President
Mavis.
Biden.
All right, Mayor.
Black parents across America need to know how much different will the talk be with our sons and daughters about police interaction under your administration?
All right.
It'll be fundamentally different, but let me make it clear. One of the things people say, I know I understand, is my mother would say, come walk in my shoes for a mile.
My
and Tell
shoals.
me you understand then.
My
Dr.
shoals.
Schultz.
Very
My
few
Dr.
parents
Schultz.
have to turn and say to their kid,
You're my
once they
dollar.
get their license, make sure if you're
Dr.
pulled over,
Schultz
put both
in her
hands
soul patch.
on top of the
What?
wheel.
Ah!
Don't reach for
I
the glove
pooped.
box. Make sure you do whatever the police officer says. The vast majority of police are decent, honorable people.
Good.
One of the things I found is the only people who don't like bad cops more than we don't like them are police officers. And so what we have to do is we have to have a much more transparent means by which we provide for accountability within police departments. As President of the United States, what I will do, I will nationally bring together police chiefs, police officers, the union people,
Naturally.
the
That
African
means
American
I don't
leadership,
really have a
the communities,
solution
the
for
brown communities,
this isn't
the
my
civil
room.
rights leadership. So
it'll just happen naturally. Don't ask for specifics. Thank God I have Anderson Cooper to run interference here.
Including much more rigorous background checks on those who apply for and become police officers. 2, teaching people how to de-escalate. 3, providing for a 911 calls like what happened in Lancaster, making sure that you have psychologists and psychiatrists available to go out to deal with those circumstances. We can change. We started that process before. I'm confident
Psychologist?
work again.
Please tell me about your mother.
The guy with the knife.
That's right. Lancaster was the guy with the knife. Yeah, we should have sent someone out to ask. We should have sent someone out to ask if he wanted to bang his mother from the school of Freud.
There's people who aren't meeting standards.
That'll work out.
You can take maybe the guy that put a spit hood on, who was saying, I got a big dick, and asking for the cop's gun. You can say that guy was mentally disturbed. In Lancaster, Pennsylvania, the guy was actively running out of the house at a cop with a knife. That's the picture-perfect example of why you don't have a psychologist go out.
Yeah.
Because guess what? In that case, we were fortunate enough to know, hey, this guy's getting violent with a knife, so the cops showed up prepared for it. But what if they say, hey, this guy is just a little bit crazy. He's dystyped. He's dystyped. He's dystyped. He's dystyped. He positively is dystyped. You send out Officer Krupke, but instead you send out a social worker with a bachelor's degree in Spanish. They go out there and they get stabbed. He picked the worst possible example.
Well, these people see a guy charging a cop with a knife and think that guy needs self-esteem counseling.
Yeah. We could just talk to him about his childhood.
He
That's
ran
all
out
he
with a
needs.
knife. What? Did they use a red pen?
This guy, he must have had a sad childhood.
Again, they don't care.
A social worker.
It doesn't matter if someone has a gun and charges an officer with a gun. It doesn't matter if you have a taser in the face. It doesn't matter if you charge an officer with a knife. It doesn't matter if you've committed sexual assault. They'll still say, you know what, you're just disturbed. Right. They'll still say we need to defund it. It doesn't matter if every single box is checked where lethal force is absolutely not only appropriate, but required if you want to protect the woman who doesn't have a knife. It doesn't matter. This is an issue that is politicized just like COVID at this point.
Well, and they use that forked-tongue rhetoric where they say they're good cops. And they say, but heaven forbid something like Lancaster happens, where it was a good cop doing what was supposed to be done.
Right.
Earlier, he said, oh, looting is bad, whatever. And Pelosi earlier today made a similar statement. And that's after, I assume, some really bad polls came in. But at the same time, you have the Biden staffers, they were giving to these bail funds, right? And so the people who are needing bail, they're not peaceful protesters standing there with a sign. They're people who are looting and destroying stuff. So it's just completely disingenuous for Kamala Harris to tweet out.
Rapo.
Yeah. It's just disingenuous to say, oh, we decry, we denounce all this looting and rioting. but we'll pay your bail.
Well, you
right?
think it's disingenuous as a cis white male, to be
That is a good point. You got to qualify that.
You know what? The only people who hate bad cops more are good cops, and like the good and like it. Let's replace good cops with shrinks. Okay.
When we started our administration, we moved to eliminate the disparity between crack cocaine and powdered cocaine. So a black guy getting a nickel bag and snorting coke went mandatory to jail. Someone who was in line in Park Avenue.
It was. Wait, hold on. Let me make sure I have this date.
1994 crime bill.
Was it 1994 crime bill? You were the one who helped spearhead. Okay. This is something. Do you not doubt for a second that George Snuffleupagus would try and fact check Donald Trump? He was fact checking him on opinion statements, by the way. Right. He's talking about how he's been a champion of civil rights or criminal justice reform. He is the guy. The only person with a worst sinner's record who needs to go into confessional booth is the half Indian first POS VP candidate, Kamala Harris.
POC,
POS. That's what I said. This guy pioneered the 1994 crime bill that treated powdered cocaine different from crack. It was this guy. This is the reason non-violent drug offenders are being locked up. I know I sound like Biden. Now it wears off.
It's rubbing off on you.
Across the country? You want everyone talking like him? You see what happens to me? This is just from 2 days of prep.
And I think
I'm a retard.
Sad.
I hate myself.
I think we have a clip of Biden talking about these criminals, and it's just amazing. If Donald Trump said it today, people would be saying this isn't a dog whistle, this is outright overt racism. But it's. I mean, I think we have the clip.
All right, let's show this clip really quickly.
I'm trying to figure out.
I believe it is clip. Hold on a second. It is clip B. Clip B.
It doesn't matter whether or not they're the victims of society.
It had less hair back then.
The result is they're about to knock my mother on the head with a lead pipe.
Oh, wow. Oh. Like Case and Clue.
Who's
or something.
they?
Yeah. With a candlestick
Who could
in the library.
they be
And again,
he's talking
contrast
about?
that with Donald Trump, who pardoned people, notably a woman of color, for nonviolent drug crimes. Even Van Jones struggled to criticize President Trump when he was asked on a panel after the RNC, where he said, you know what, Donald Trump has done a lot for criminal justice reform. I just wish that he didn't do the pardon here and do it as part of political theater. In other words, he didn't like the fact that it was broadcast because he thought that would be CNN's job to make sure that the message gets out there that Donald Trump has done more for criminal justice reform than the black guy before him, who, by the way, was also doing crack with convicted domestic terrorist Bill Ayers. So you'd think it'd be you'd think it would hit a little close to home for Barack Hussein Obama. No, Bobby.
You're gonna get fact checked on that.
I'll get fact checked on that. Yeah, I'll get a hardline community strike.
Cocaine.
All right, let's bring it back up. Sorry guys, we're trying to balance now, not bring. Why am I trying to balance it? It's on the plate. Who gives a shit?
Safely.
Please let everyone know in the chat if you're watching. Go use the promo code Crowder Biden stream. Do we need to do anything for Instagram, Manny? Or no, we're good. Okay, thank you.
Cities have shot up. Chicago murders are up 52% so far. New York up 23%. Los Angeles up 15%. There are a lot of people who worry about a breakdown of law and order in this country. Are you one of them?
I am worried that as long as the administration continues to preach hate and division, talking about people as they talk about.
You know what's funny?
That I am worried. But here's the deal.
Is that what should be a softball is the toughest question of the night. Some people think there's a breakdown of law and order. Are you one of them? I don't know. 30 deaths and $2 billion in damage. I think it's made a dent, but instead he has to pivot. He can't just say,
He starts pointing fingers. He's like, it's Trump's fault. It's
Why
him.
would you ask me that, Anderson? Why would you ask me a question like that? Why would you? I was told no curve pucks.
How he conducted himself?
Are you shooting knuckle pucks? What? You on SNL? What? Mighty Ducks 3? Huh?
No violence whatsoever. He gets the military to go in, put tear gas, move people, physically move them out of the way so he can walk across to a Protestant church and hold a Bible upside down. I wonder if he ever opened it. Upside down, and then go back to a bunker in the White House? What are we talking about here? It's simply
what are you talking about?
to engage the military in dealing with domestic unrest as it relates to violence as a consequence of people
across the White House
protesting.
lawn to take a picture at
We
the
can
church
take care
where
of
people
this.
refuse to
It can be
disperse.
taken
Because,
care of. We took
that's what
care
you
of
do
our
when a president is walking. Just you're allowed to swarm
We
him.
need to escalate this.
You know.
And think of what the rest of the world's looking.
Worked out for Lincoln.
You know, I mean, I don't read the international press, but I get it delivered to me all the time through my advisors and the old security
I get
team.
it delivered
They're looking at
through
us like, what in
the,
God's name is going on in
Western
the United States
Union.
of America?
We're going to take a quick break. We'll be back with
Got the
more
Pinkertons.
Vice President
I have the international news come every day on an apple cart and a greater Swiss mountain dog. What are you talking about, Joe Biden? I don't like the internet. I have someone else handle it. Well, you know what? Your handlers have done a great job taking down the stream from YouTube. Yeah. Oh, my God. Unless this gets resolved quickly, I am going to sue you so hard. So hard. And there's so much precedent. And I'm using it contextually accurately. Precedent that has been set. The fact that it wasn't taken down when it was Trump, and the fact that there have been so many suspect actions taken on behalf of YouTube as it relates to the DNC.
Well, here's the thing. Every morning, we have CNN. We do CNN in a little box every single morning.
Right.
This time, it's different. Why is it different?
Yeah. Boy.
Somebody's talking that's retarded.
Poppy Harlow's not as scared. She's not
Poppy
running for
Harlow.
president.
I don't like Steven, but he has the Clark Kent hair. So yeah. Whereas Anderson comes like, I'm more of a bear guy. All right, listen, we're going to go
Like my
really
pal
quick
Andy.
to a commercial break. Since they are on a commercial break, I have to use the restroom, see exactly what's going on, and we will be back here in 2 minutes. Please stay with us. Use the promo code Crowder Trump. I'm not the. Who cares about the promo code? Sorry, the hashtag Crowder Biden stream. Because I kept saying Crowder Trump stream.
Yeah.
Crowder Biden stream. Use that hashtag and let people know on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook that we're not on YouTube right now.
And Facebook does need to know
We are
about
still on Facebook, so you can use
the promo code. So
Facebook, that's right. Those who are watching on Facebook, the promo code. This is exactly.
You're good people.
Let me be really clear before we leave. This is exactly why we offer these promo codes. This goes back to that first Oscar stream where we were taken down. And then for every instance that you see like this, there are, what would we say, 20 behind the scenes that go on that we have to deal with that you may not know about right away because it may not be a hard strike, or it's a hard strike that maybe happens before we actually have to go to the next live stream, and we have to have our half Asian Kraken make his calls. So this happens all the time. That's why we offer these promo codes for you to join up at louderwithcrowder.com/mugclub. It's $20 off if you enter in Crowder Biden stream. We are not funded by Al Jazeera. We are not funded by Qatar. We are funded entirely, and not like PBS, where we say viewers like you, and mostly the federal grants. And everyone thought that Romney was a Nazi because he wanted to kill Big Bird. Remember, because he didn't think that the federal government, it was not their legitimate purview to be funding PBS, especially when you have a trans Muppet with a feathery cock hanging out between the two posts. So my point here is we genuinely are. This was in the DVD extras.
I missed that one.
We're funded by viewers like you. And if you're watching on Facebook or you're watching this after we re-upload it to YouTube, please do consider using the promo code Crowder Biden. I keep wanting to say Trump. Crowder Biden stream. And join up. And of course, we take your chat. And you also get not only this wonderful hand-etched mug, hand-painted, it's hand-painted and hand-etched by Americans. So you'll say, the mug comes from China. Listen, we're still looking for a mug manufacturer in the United States who can actually make one like this, but we actually employ highly skilled Americans who paint it, who etch it. That's why it takes a little while to get to you. You not only get that mug, you not only get twice the show every day and access to the whole Blaze catalog, there will be no more free content. Listen, how much do you think it takes to fight someone like a Time Warner? How much do you think it takes to fight Vox Universal? How much do you think it takes to fight ABC Disney? You name the big boys in media, you line them up, at some point we've knocked them down. And as long as you guys keep supporting us, it doesn't matter if you put the devil himself on the other side of that community guideline strike. We will fight it, and we have a half-Asian lawyer who is absolutely fantastic at his job and is a thorn in the side of the motherfuckers at YouTube and all of big tech. But we do need you to support the content. You don't have to. We know that you don't. We want to offer you more free content than anyone else out there anyway. But we just ask that you do support it. So we don't expect you to. We don't. You're not obligated to, but we would appreciate it if you did. And those who do, we appreciate you so much. I don't give a rat's ass about this question. We're going to hit a quick commercial break, and I'm going to go to the bathroom because I have to take an anger piss. Be right back.
Hi, this is the Crowder 911 telling everybody to join at louderwithcrowder.com/mug. And don't forget to train your Joe Biden with discipline, exercise, and affection. And don't forget to get your Joe Biden spayed or neuter. That's right.
I'll bet you're as bright as you're good looking, I tell you.
Okay, Vice President Biden, that's great. Turn on the Trump camera number 4. Get the shot. I can't see this. Too far away.
Journalism? Whoa!
Oh, okay, Joe, it seems like if she's a college student, that's great. We really need to pick up the college vote. Please, let's get a clear shot of her. Camera number 4. I'm telling you, I can't. I'm fixed on a tripod. Okay, great. Joe, bring her to where we can see her on camera. And, oh,
Okay, over here.
Okay, no, she's a little girl. Let's, Joe, get off of it. Get off of it. Let's get off. Just, no, don't touch her. Don't touch her. Don't. All right. He's touching the kid. Okay, camera number 4, get off of this. Get off. I can't have to. This is news. It's my job. Camera number 4, so help me God, I will send you back to film school. Joe, don't listen. Camera number 4. This is news. I have to cover it. You, Joe, let go. Please, get her off. Joe.
Ranger panties. You know you want them. Silky smooth, soft, caressing of your gonads. Get yours today at louderwithcrowdershop.com.
Welcome back to the show. I'm White Don King.
Nice.
Yeah, it looks like Joe Biden's back. He's answering a question. Let's see what's going on.
But there's no rationale to eliminate right now fracking, number one. Number two, those jobs that are out there, whether it's a IBW worker or whether it's an iron worker or a steel worker, what I'm proposing is that, you know, when Trump thinks about global warming, he thinks hoax. When I hear global warming, I think jobs. What I'm going to make sure we do is we can transition.
We'll do like
in a way.
associations.
For example, we're going to build 500. The reason why all these unions have endorsed me is that they know my position. That I'm going to make sure that we have 500,000
exactly. We're hearing what Biden says about
charging stations on our highways.
Talk about fracking.
Own the electric car market, creating 1 million jobs, and we can lead the world in Detroit.
And then I'm going to have Tokunawa fill us in on the community guidelines strike.
We moved electric vehicles. As President of the United States, I'll have one of the largest fleets. We spend $600 billion a year, federal money, for federal contracts. I'm going to make sure those contracts are all products made in America, including the chain that provides for every one of those products. I'm going to do away with the tax break that the president gave people who send jobs abroad to make sure that if you, in fact, have a contract, if you
wants to give
taxpayers more money.
You're saying that the president gave tax breaks to people who send jobs abroad?
It's like the opposite. Where you're exporting. We have 25. We have over 50% more.
He wants to give tax breaks to hand jobbing broads.
Oh, that makes more sense.
So it's
like
all
a category.
backwards. And this is going to provide a lot of good paying jobs for people in the trades.
Let me introduce you to Hannah Cannon,
Did he
a
answer the
Democrat
question
from
if he's going to ban fracking or not?
He said that he would not, which is he's
we do have a clip on
flip-flopped on that. Yeah,
he does have again. Why would you trust him on this? Because it's not one of those things where he's changed nuance. He's been very, very clear that he'll ban it, and he will not. I think the clip is clip C. Let's go to clip C really quickly.
I am not banning fracking, no matter how many times Donald Trump lies about me.
Would there be any place for fossil fuels, including coal and fracking, in a Biden administration?
No, we would work it out.
First word, no.
Make sure it's eliminated.
So not only no fracking, no fossil fuels, no
at all.
Yikes.
You guys carry this. I can't take this.
No charcoal in your grills.
Horrible. Yeah.
No, it's one of those policy changes where he's not given a reason why he's changed.
No, it's kind of like when Mitt Romney said he became pro-life. It's like, well, what changed? You were always a Mormon.
Yeah, so it gives me less impetus to believe him because there's no story as to, what changed to make you suddenly turn and embrace fracking.
Right.
So, who's to say once he gets in office, he'll just flip-flop again?
He flip-flop. You have to have a position to flip-flop.
Trump's just lying about him.
You might need to turn on the cigar fan there, Tim, from HR, a little low. Hey, really quickly, we have a development here on the strike that we've had on YouTube. Can you pass the microphone over there to Tokunawa, or I don't know if Reg knows exactly what it is. Do you know the situation, Reg?
Yeah, basically what it is It's not CNN, right? Who's making the complaint? It is someone.
So let's be clear: the community guideline strike is not CNN,
Yes.
or someone at Time Warner.
Copyright
strike.
Copyright strike. It is somebody with a Gmail account, of all things, impersonating CNN. And the other thing is, I talked to Bill, and he said this isn't just a guy who's done it once. He's done it multiple times
To us
since,
before.
Not to us, but to other channels, since going all the way back to 2018.
Wow.
So this is someone who's just, targeting channels and getting streams falsely taken down, and, for whatever reason, YouTube could not see that the...
Well, you can't have too high expectations of the biggest tech company the world has ever known.
Yeah, I mean, it's something like, daddy62@gmail.com or something. It doesn't even look like it does not pass the test of just the eyeball
This is a
test.
Hotmail address. It'd be like Tim Cook coming out and introducing the new iPhone. People are like, does it still make calls?
Beats me.
Your guess is as good as mine. I mean, how does this even make it through with YouTube again?
Boy.
Do you think for a second that are there any examples of? Do we know of any examples of conservatives doing this en masse like this? I haven't heard of it, and I know that it would be all over the news if this were happening. Yeah, right. Just like when they find one lone white supremacist, they try and make they've gone to a commercial because Biden probably has to change his diaper.
You got to make.
I'm sure there's a signal.
So this is something that has gone on. It was manual. Some random guy who doesn't like the fact that we were probably beating, unfortunately, for CNN, their ratings in the actual stream, is able to get this taken down.
Shoot! What? Hey, what are you doing?
It's best if you just let him. Once he lays in, you just let him finish.
Oh no, he's out.
That's enough.
right.
That's enough.
Mike,
All right.
hey.
All right, Joe. Yeah.
Let's get him out of here. Let's get a spray bottle next time.
Yeah, you got to get back to this.
I love how the guy who's an electrocution torture victim is going to assist us.
You got to do what you got to do.
Yeah.
He comes in to go to bat for us. This is remarkable that YouTube can't actually get a handle on that, isn't it?
Yeah.
Wow.
God.
Just some guy with
some
the
random
female
guy, some random guy who doesn't like what he has to say, what we have to say, so he's doing CNN's bidding, and they're like, oh wait, what's going on right now? Are they asking a question, but they have it going simultaneously with the commercials? Let me see this.
Lunches you dream about in compostable packaging. Go-to dinners you actually look forward to.
Yeah, you can see
decadent
it says-
desserts
Wait, it says
made with
live.
whole,
I thought
clean
isn't this
ingredients.
pre-tape?
All delivered right to your door.
Oh, right.
it's pre-tape.
Only used thoughtfully sourced
But they're saying it's live.
That's a lie.
Well, hey,
Or
it's
one of them
live,
was a lie,
it's playing
right?
out
They
live.
promoted it as
That counts.
pre-tape and then said it was going to be live.
Do they mean? Are they allowed to say that it was live when it's pre-taped to live?
Let's see.
Is there a law? Is there a law for that?
Well, it's definitely not true.
They were calling that town hall live.
Yeah,
they were?
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess they're calling. Again, they just figure, you know what? Again, who does it assist more if people see Joe Biden live, seemingly, not soiling himself, walking out like he just drank a bucket full of salt water, right?
Yeah.
It favors him more because people already have expectations of Donald Trump on his feet actually live. They're trying to push this idea right now, right? This public image that he's good enough to do something live. Well, we know that that's not the case.
Right.
That's why they pre-taped it. So, again, just because they selectively apply the rules equally, where it favors one person, and then they selectively apply rules that they enforce at all sometimes, like
Right.
with YouTube. So in this case, they go, hey, if they were to sit them both down and say, hey, all right, Donald Trump and Joe Biden, would you want to do this live or pre-tape? You're talking about
They don't
Donald
even
Trump
ask
who said he
anymore.
would sit down for a 4-hour debate on Joe Rogan. You think he wants to do a pre-tape? But they go, to be fair to both candidates, we're going to pre-tape both of them and tell everyone that it's live. But that's not fair. Again, it'd be like, I use this analogy, but it would be like two people fighting, a lightweight and a heavyweight, and they agreed to a fight at a catchweight, and they say, by the way, Mr. Heavyweight at 240 pounds, you're actually going to have to make 155. But I'm not a lightweight. Well, yeah, but now we're going to make you both have to fight at lightweight.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't have agreed to this fight if I knew it was going to be at lightweight. I'm a heavyweight. Well, sorry, we changed it now, so we're the ones who control the pay-per-view. Good luck.
Well, they're used to being able to control all of the people's perceptions on things, but I don't think that even pre-taping both of them gives Biden enough of an advantage to make him look good next to Trump.
No, I don't think so. He looked very bad tonight.
They're gonna try it,
worse
though.
than I expected.
What's still going on? He's not dead.
Right.
By the way, you can turn on the cigar fan a little bit there if you have
can
it.
turn that
Oh,
one.
you got it.
Now
Turn
we
it
do
on.
have some signups in a costume contest winner.
Oh, okay.
Hey,
Let's go to that
Gainer.
here really quickly. while we're
So
at
we've
the
got
question.
Brian Tahara signed up.
All right.
We've also got Queen Lizzie here on Twitter.
Queen
signed
Queen
up.
Lizzie? We have a diverse fan group.
Yeah. So we've got some detail here. The costume contest winner, Charity Faith. Now she's given us so many photos. You can really see there's some detail on the makeup there.
What is the makeup?
Yeah, what is she going for? Is she
looks
going
like
for just
we've
like a
got
crazy
some-
person, or?
Hold on, let's go back to it. That's disturbing.
Okay.
That's very extremely disturbing.
With Trump,
Lady in the Chucky sweater.
how will we know the many ways he has compromised the United States?
Wow.
What?
Well,
Again, that was a
I made
leading
it
question
clear that
for a
early
softball.
on,
Put that up on the board there,
that
Manny. And I'm pretty sure you missed a couple of them.
attempting to interfere with our election is a violation of our
Interfere
sovereignty.
with our election by
And if
having
it's done
people
again,
go,
which it
by
appears to be
ensuring
By just
that
going out
everyone's
and
vote
voting.
is counted.
All
That's
the questions are
interference
basically
now.
tell me how good of a job you would do.
What did I tell you at the outset of this?
Right,
Like,
that was
Mr. Trump,
And he knows I mean,
why
I
did
don't
you
mean
lie to the
war.
people? Mr.
They
Biden,
pay
why
a
did
price.
Trump lie to the American people? That's exactly what they're doing.
Right.
Sorry about the softballs,
Number one.
Manny, but
Number two.
Smooth Manny, you know the drill.
One of the things we have to do is make sure.
Keep it going a little longer.
I think this is illegal.
I don't. He's fine. He's a tough guy.
He's trying to replace Half Asian Bill like he's a lawyer.
I don't.
I should also mention this isn't makeup. They ran out of makeup. They actually had to do this manually.
Yeah.
Treatment
Yeah.
today, so.
Well, they had to do the same thing but cover it up on Anderson Cooper.
Oh, right.
From the pecker slap.
Yeah.
Oh, boy.
Or as he calls it, a green room warm up.
That's how they show up.
Hey, we're not on YouTube right now. Who
Yeah, who cares?
Just Facebook.
Throw caution to the wind.
Facebook loves this stuff.
Yeah, that'll be in the next. That'll be in the next Vox highlight reel. Anderson Cooper getting pecker slapped. Oh my gosh, the hate speech. Yeah, because typically when a hate group goes out before burning crosses, they use the term pecker slap.
After
It's in the
what
history
happens with regard to the actual counting in the voting machine.
And they're trying to
Let me
Russia.
ask, FBI Director Chris Wray
Russia's a
said
losing
just today
strategy. They stopped.
that Russia has been, in his words, very active in its efforts to influence the election and, quote, denigrate you. You said that that there would be an economic price to pay for Russia if they continue with this. Can you be more specific? What's the price to pay?
It wouldn't be prudent for me to be more specific, but I assure you, they will pay a price.
I wouldn't want to be specific like the withdraw timetable I released in Iraq and sent to the Taliban and ISIS on a spreadsheet.
Putin's overwhelming objective.
I think I learned my lesson once. But let me just say, it would happen next March.
The entire NATO contingent. So any one country he is strong.
Oh yeah, NATO. Who got
And
people to start
look
pulling their
what's
own weight
happening
and
now.
paying their
Look
fair
what's
share?
happening in
All of a
Belarus.
sudden,
Look what's
they don't give a rat's
happening
ass
in
about
his
people paying their
response. Look
fair
what's
share when it
happening
comes to the
in
lofty
countries like
2%
Romania. Look
in
what's happening
NATO.
in terms of the authoritarian nature of some of the regimes changing.
Do you view China as an opponent? Because the president says you've been too cozy with China, too accepting of them in the international community.
I'm not the guy. Look, China, we now have a larger trade deficit with China than we've ever had with China. And in our administration, when the World Trade Organization he keeps going on about just ruled that his trade policy violated the World Trade Organization. We sued. We went to the World Trade Organization 16 times.
Do you view China as an opponent?
I view China as a competitor, a serious competitor. That's why I think
I view
we have
China.
to strengthen our relationships.
I kind of
and our
do.
alliances
You
in
kind of what?
Asia.
Kind of you.
That's why we have to. In fact, I made it clear, as you may recall, that when I was in China and she said to me that they're setting up an air identification zone. I said I was with the national security team.
Is that a
I said, we're
person
not gonna
in
pay
China?
attention
Did
to what
he
you expect
say
me to
anything
do.
about a she
Bring it
before he
down.
said
I said,
China?
I don't
"Just
think
not
so,
gonna
no.
pay
Is he
attention. We're
talking
gonna fly
about the
right through.
former
We're
and
gonna
now
abide by
deceased
international
pro wrestler known as
rules. That's what
China
we're gonna do.
with a Y?
Ooh, that could be it.
There we
Yeah.
go.
He's a
Was he
big fan.
referring to the black? Isn't Black China a rapper?
Thanks, Anderson. Hello, Vice President.
Hey, Justin.
Oh, look, this guy couldn't tuck
I
his
come
shirt
from
in.
a
He's
small
only talking
coal
to the
mine
former
town
vice
in
president.
Illinois City, just
I
down
know.
the line.
Oh, respect the office, you hipster son of a bitch.
I'm an Army veteran who served in Afghanistan.
Now look, you look like a winner.
I want to know if you are elected.
Yeah,
you
but so
bring
is
my
John
brothers and sisters home. End our military involvement in these unnecessary, endless wars that don't have any end in sight.
Who ended one?
Yes, I would. It is now public knowledge. I was
Interesting.
opposed to the significant increase in our presence at the time in Afghanistan.
You're lined
And
up for Tony
because
Shore.
I thought
Which
the
is
only
why,
presence we should have
instead of increasing
is
our
a
presence, I
counter-terrorism
increased
presence.
drone strikes.
Not a counterinsurgency.
Yeah.
Because we can do those from a
The idea
distance,
that we're gonna-
and we did more of those than anybody.
Connie Network
So
in Eastern
I think
Pakistan,
you
Western
should
Pakistan.
vote
It's just not gonna
you should
happen.
vote for me
But we have to be in a position where we can
by
be
Western
clear
Union.
that if need be, we could respond to
Yeah, we know that
terrorist
Obama was the
activities
first
coming out of
president
that
to
region.
be at war for 8 years. The whole presidency. But you forget that's also Joe Biden's the first vice president to have two-term war.
He wasn't paying attention. He was too busy jailing black guys for crack.
This is Gary Hartman, the president of a company that makes the steel frames used to transport shipping containers. He's a Republican who voted for President Trump in 2016. Gary, welcome.
Thank you.
Vice President Biden, Cheetah Chassis is located in Berwick, Pennsylvania, where we produce intermodal container chassis. We're a small family-owned business that is facing unfair trade container chassis imports from what we'll call a massive state-owned entity in China. The products are currently under Section 301, but the Chinese have found a way to undermine the relief of the tariff. So, as president, how would you address China's unfair trade policies?
I would make it
Not
clear,
really a great question for the
just
guy
so
who
we did
supported
in our
TPP and
administration,
NAFTA.
that when they use state-owned enterprises, which is what they're doing, state-owned enterprises to undercut the price that they can
stutter.
charge
Right.
to be able to come and compete
That was
with
actually a good
American
question, though.
manufacturing, that they, in fact, would be denied that opportunity. I would also make it clear that when you, in fact, it's got to be, if any of that is being purchased by any government agency, that we will not purchase anything that is not made in America.
Just gets so lost when he's talking.
I've had only 2 beers, but they are Belgian ales. So I'm.
It's getting
Is it
hard
just
to
me, or
follow.
Can I not follow?
I was thinking the
is anyone
same
else
thing.
Following
Yeah,
him?
yeah.
Is it me? No, seriously, is it me? I'm not following him.
No, yeah, I was like, I don't understand what's going on.
I'm
like
not one of those
anything.
hosts who lies to you and goes, yes. I don't know what he's saying anymore.
I think the most clear thing he said was it wouldn't be prudent for me to give specifics about that.
Right. Probably.
Shouldn't say this on camera.
Very clear.
And Anderson Cooper, you have to wear a purple tie. I don't mind your preference, but you got to be so in my face about it.
That's
What are
too
you
clear.
saying?
That's too clear of a message.
I thought you were. I'm open-minded, but I'd like to take you up by the bike racks, by God.
I mean, do you have to
euphemism?
be gay all the time?
Yeah, it can be gay, just not so fucking gay. Wow, her hair's asymmetrical. It makes me scared.
Overregulation puts an extreme burden on small and family-owned farms and is a contributing factor to many farms going out of business. Policies during the Obama administration, such as the rules under the Waters of the U.S. Act, threaten to increase that
You
regulation.
remember, right, Joe?
As does policies
No.
proposed through the Green New Deal, which your climate plan embraces.
No, it doesn't embrace whole new.
Excuse me, if I could finish.
I'm sorry.
Thank you.
Whoa.
How do you
See,
plan
she actually
to
wasn't finished her
decrease
question. It wasn't like the black lady with Donald Trump. who
Right,
finished.
yeah.
for
Waited 2
farmers?
seconds.
She literally
Like,
wasn't
"Ah,
actually finished.
He just interrupted.
She was in the middle of the sentence.
Number
Yeah.
one,
First,
we should
Cruella.
provide for your ability to make a lot more money as farmers by dealing with you being able to put land in land banks, and you get paid to do that, to provide for more open space and provide for the ability of you to be able to be in a position that we are going
He's
to
so
pay
hard to
you
follow.
for planting certain crops that in fact absorb carbon from the air. That's part of what the plan relates to in terms of agriculture and the environment.
Did you just
But
tell
as
the
it relates to, if you're
farmer that you would
talking about
encourage them to plant
regulation that relates
crops?
to fertilizer.
Is that what he
and-
said? Because they would
That
absorb
absorb carbon
That's a
from the
different-
air. Yeah.
I think it's just the way he
Any
speaks.
plants
It's
that
just
have
so hard to understand.
leaves
We have
or
a
greenery
$4 billion
absorb
industry.
some form of carbon.
chicken and poultry.
Chicken and poultry.
All the,
And poultry and
all
chicken.
The manure, quite frankly, that is a consequence of chickens. And so it's polluting the Chesapeake Bay. What we found out, we've
said
invested a
quite
lot of
frankly.
money.
He's been
We
listening
found
to
out
Trump.
you can pelletize this and take out take out
Did you say
the
pelletize?
methane, so
Like
you're in a
make it
position
like
where
pellets?
Okay.
you can use that fertilizer
I thought he was
without
talking
the
about a
damage
cycling routine.
that was being done before. The same way with horse manure and cow manure.
I got a
and pig
good
manure.
trainer when I
And so- and
pelletize.
we can create
She's got an ass for
thousands of
days.
jobs in rural America
The only
as a
problem is it
consequence
gets.
of setting up
I
these
can't.
small
I can't
industries
sniff her.
within communities. And so,
And people can
that's the
say what
way
they
we'll
want
be
about
able
new
to
technology and
continue
online
to farm
media.
without
Nothing
worrying
replaces
about whether or not you're
being able to
polluting
sniff
and
the
being in a
person you're
position
dealing
where
with.
You're able to make money by
He's still talking, by the
what
way.
you do in the transition,
point.
as well as be able to grow more.
Mr. Vice President, this is Susan
What did he
Connors,
just
who runs
say?
a local HVAC business. She's a Democrat. Susan, welcome.
Thank you, Anderson.
He said nothing.
Oh,
Mr. Vice
that wax
President.
figure's talking.
I look out over my
Need
Biden
some
side
powder.
of my front yard, and I see a sea of Trump flags and yard signs.
No, you don't.
That must be horrible,
my
Madame
question
Tussaud.
is, what is your plan to build a bridge with voters from the opposing party to lead us forward towards a common future?
Demonize him all his
Well, you've got it exactly right. I said when I announced the next
Put
president
on
of
the
the
map
United States
for
could
the
inherit
answer.
two things.
Oh God! I
divided
took my life in my
nation.
hands.
Gotta put it on. Might get some speckles.
I'm gonna go home
remember
and
how
ask
I
my
so
family
roundly
if they saw how
criticized
brave I
during
was.
the primaries. I plan to unite the nation.
Huh?
I'm running as a Democrat, but I'm going to be everyone's president. I'm not going to be a Democratic president. I'm going to be America's president. And I've made my whole
Oh, by the
career
way, that was
based
a
upon bringing
softball.
people
Yeah.
together
Oh, I forgot.
and bringing
So
the
everyone
parties
needs to
together.
drink,
I've
but
been relatively
I have
good
my
at doing
hands, so
that.
I've got to-
I learned a long time ago, and I apologize, Anderson heard me say this. When I first got
Take
to the
it up with
Senate,
the media
I was
establishment.
29 years old when I got elected. Turns out when I was hiring staff, my wife and daughter and 3 children were Christmas shopping. Tractor trailer
working
brought some to
sound.
kill my wife and daughter. And my 2 boys were badly injured. And they weren't sure
Wait,
they were
was
going
the
to make
one
it.
boy?
I didn't want to
oh,
go
you're
to
talking about the one boy who threw out his back, banging the other boy's wife while on a crack binge?
Yeah, that's
His crack binge banging of wives was rivaled only by the Washington D.C. mayor.
Yeah, so Hunter Biden, he started dating his brother's widow, and she had to break up with him because of his crack binges. And then while he's
Which, hold on
doing
1 second. How stupid is that? Even his dad wouldn't have wanted him prosecuted if he just did powder cocaine. But he couldn't help
It's
himself.
like, no, man, I need that crack.
Well,
It needs
wasn't
to be
far enough.
crystallized.
So while he's doing his dead brother's wife, he's also fathering children with some strippers.
Yes.
So, you know, so when Biden confuses how many grandkids he has, which he does quite frequently, you can't quite blame him, to be honest. But
Yeah,
By the way,
you don't know the origin of that
Can we talk about
grandkid.
fail-safes? How
where
many
they live.
fail-safes must have been overlooked for you to have children with strippers?
yeah, that's
Yeah, come on.
I mean,
There's many levels of protection there.
disregarding of the contact laws at strip clubs to begin with. Then neither one of them using protection. Also doing crack in the champagne room, which his dad pushed for harsher prosecution of in comparison to powder cocaine. There is so much wrong with that. The only thing that could possibly top it is when John Edwards was banging another broad on videotape while a pregnant broad while his wife had cancer in the hospital.
Yeah, that's worse. I would say that's worse.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
probably
yeah.
worse. I actually have a Blaze question from the chat that is a bit like the question that was just asked Biden about building bridges. So we have Ashley who says, "Hey guy, I love you all so much. Question though, what do you think the chances of Biden actually winning? And what would be all of your reactions if he did? Panic mode, jump off a bridge, even more rioting, idiots no matter what."
Okay, what would be my reaction? Listen, I will tell you this. It doesn't really change what I do. The person in charge is not who determines the country. People did this with Barack Obama. Now I sound like Biden. Did this with Barack Obama. Listen, I'm not looking for some transcendent political figure to save us. I think that Donald Trump has done a good job. I would like him to win again. I think he probably will win again. If Joe Biden wins the presidency, first off, there are checks and balances inherently that exist in our system to mitigate the power that he can have. Not only that, but he really is a moderate. He's an empty suit. Now, the problem with that is the people who are pulling the strings are the Kamala Harrises, the Bernie Sanders, those people, the AOCs, the squad, which does worry me. This is the most important election of our time because we do need a second term for Donald Trump to solidify the gains that we've made. He's really the only president to have championed American exceptionalism and pride in our country in our lifetime. I mean, you kind of had it after 9/11 with George W. Bush. They gave him a pass. But someone who has made that the centerpiece of his campaign, that's something that's unique about Donald Trump, and I think it requires 2 terms for that to be ingrained in the American public, so that at least kind of like you have boomers who became people who say, okay, boomer. Well, you know what? Boomers were the pot-smoking hippies who then actually saw Carter and Reagan, and they saw 2 terms of Reagan, they saw the terms of prosperity, they saw how well our country did, and so they naturally, when they got older, reverted back to conservatism. We don't really have that with our generation. So I do think it's the most important election of our lifetime. That being said, if Joe Biden wins, I'm not going to be like one of these commentators who throws myself off a bridge. It doesn't change what I do. I get up every single day, and we speak truth to power. And listen, the guy who we're fighting is not the guy in the White House. When Barack Obama was president, I have a track record. When people talk about grifters, you can go back to 2006 on YouTube, and you can go back to 2009 or 2008. Every single week was releasing a video when there wasn't any money in it, and there were no conservatives on YouTube. I was speaking out against rampant liberalism when Barack Obama was president. I'm still speaking out against that now because the man is not the president. You see, it's the media and entertainment industry establishment. And the same thing is going to happen if Joe Biden wins. If Donald Trump wins, expect them to be amidst their death throes, the media, before they die. And if Joe Biden wins, expect them to be doing what they did with Barack Obama and carrying his water. I will not stop doing what I do. No one here stops doing what we do until old media is dead and we can all joyfully piss on the ashes. Is it done?
And then walk off into the sunset.
Is it done?
At least
a commercial break?
It was supposed to be an hour and a half. It's done? Oh, wow.
So Trump had longer than Biden, and Biden had a really short town hall.
Donald Trump
seems
went,
strange.
Let's see what. Let's.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Use the water. Thank
Spray
you.
him. Spray him.
Get out.
Okay.
Oh man.
First off, I also don't think that we should.
Oh no. He's not mentally sound.
We shouldn't have allowed him. We shouldn't have done our show in such close proximity to the town.
Yeah, honestly, And it's weird. It's pre-taped, so he came all the way here and he was coming in.
It's a problem. Let's see what Chris Cuomo is saying. I bet you he'll be touting this as a victory.
Close to criminal. Now, Biden got an eye-popping endorsement today from one of Mike Pence's former top aides, a former White House coronavirus task force member who was working there just a month ago.
Nobody cares about.
And she is letting loose on President Trump. We have some of her sound, and we're going to talk about the impact of all of this with our power team: David Axelrod, Abby Phillip, and
power team.
Taylor. Good to have all 3 of you. Miles, good. Your shot there is in check. Abby, let's start with net effect of the night for Biden in the town hall. Needle mover or
Come
not?
on, guys, be honest.
Well, I think one of the things that you saw in this is Biden's ability to just stand there and answer questions. In,
His ability to stand there and answer questions.
Astounding ability.
It's amazing that he's able to stand.
It's like
I'm genuinely surprised he can stand.
I don't know if you guys caught this, but like several weeks ago, after Biden's mental state was called into question, they did a little photo op where Joe Biden rides by on a bike, and they had some journalists filming it, and it was trending on Twitter. Like
a 5-year-old?
As though the bar for who gets to be president is someone he can ride a bike. Like, the things we're celebrating at this point are astounding.
Oh my gosh,
Most disturbing
he's
part is you
standing
wrote it
upright.
without a seat.
Less likely to fall off.
into a period of the debate.
More likely to put a
under the
smile
you
on
can't
his
make it
face.
up
So comfy.
category acts. You've got the president who pronounces Yosemite Yosemite, and Thailand, questioning the ability of his opponent to speak in coherent fashion. Crazy
Well,
days,
that's because
certainly.
he was not able to
But
speak in a coherent fashion.
and
You understand this,
crisis.
correct?
Do you
Mispronouncing
think that
a
Joe
word
Biden
is not the same as being unable to finish a phrase.
Yeah, I mean, one of the funny things, I was an English teacher for a while, but when I was doing my degree, a lot of English teachers mispronounce words because they just read them so much, right? And so, I mean, it's not an indicator of intelligence to mispronounce a word. But it is when you have a guy like Biden who can't complete a sentence. That's something to worry about.
Yeah. By the way, if he's going to hold that standard, he has to get rid of what's her name there, the black lady who just mispronounced a word earlier. She used it a different way. Black people pronounce words differently from white American people because of the different history of their dialect. They used to call it Ebonics. I don't know what they call it now. What about Cardi B? Does that mean that she's? No, I think she's an idiot because Cardi B is an idiot.
Right.
But if he's going to apply that someone mispronounces a word, therefore they are incoherent, you'd have to apply it to all the rioters, all the looters. You'd have to apply it to AOC. You'd have to apply it to all kinds of people. Again, that's not really the litmus test for whether someone is smart or not. I mispronounced solace because it's Canadians. A solace.
Yeah. Nike. Yeah, I mean, I think Cuomo really just wants to get rid of all those immigrants that can't pronounce English correctly. I think that's what we're supposed to take away.
And all he wants to get rid of anyone who says, "Let me ask you a question."
Hey.
Was that we were in election year, and how is this going to affect what he
Republican
considered to be
voters
his
against
record of
Trump.
success? The truth
if
is,
you're
he
caught somewhere,
doesn't actually
right,
care
and you
about
manage,
anyone
so if you
else
manage
but
to
himself.
get out of the insane asylum,
Right.
you've managed to
escape.
Okay.
It was nice.
Yeah.
I had to think about it, though.
3/4.
There you go.
There was some focus.
Moving into February,
Made a
they started
decision.
to develop a different understanding that was met with hostility at the White House and certainly presidential level.
In March,
Yeah, so Chris, I'll tell you this. First on
Biden's
Olivia.
proxy said you can
She
go
is
out and
honestly
vote.
one of the most hardworking, honest
Yeah,
public
Voldemort is
servants
speaking.
I have ever met in my entire career.
Come on, you're on national news,
So when the
buddy.
vice
Don't use your
president's
Snapchat
office-
filter.
Yeah, come on, get a gigabit at
We
least.
want to see a talking head, not a puppy face.
would recommend
Oh my goodness.
the Homeland Security Advisor.
This is an
Vice
awful.
President.
You've got.
Oh my
You've
God.
got Toast Mustache Axelrod. You've got the I hate to say, it, but see the token minority in the Bruce Lee outfit, and then this guy.
He looks like a
Dark
thumb.
Man.
Extraordinary qualifications.
Chris Cuomo's so pissed.
Oh, there he
So
goes.
when they say,
There he
Miles,
goes.
Chris Cuomo's so pissed. He's
all right,
like,
good.
I
So
did
when they
not
say
have a
Troy-
brother in
Troy
higher
hates Trump,
office to have a show like
she's just
this.
another deep
My brother didn't do all this
embedded
work for
statist,
nothing.
Part of the conspiracy against
And
him,
remember,
never
what was
liked
Chris,
him, and now
Chris
she's out in
Cuomo
the
doing
middle
at
of
this
a
time?
crisis.
He
Shows
was
how much
violating
What's your
quarantine
response?
while positive for coronavirus.
Also riding his bike.
Yeah.
No, sorry. He beat the ass of a guy riding his bike. That's right.
The cyclist.
Yeah.
And he told me to my face, Olivia Troy is doing an incredible job as my Homeland Security Advisor. Today, they sent out Keith Kellogg, the Vice President's National Security Advisor, to say Olivia was a disgruntled employee. Keith Kellogg told me this year, Olivia Troy is doing
Now, Stephen,
an incredible job.
we actually
I'm so
have
glad
Bill on
that
Skype if we want to get a.
Oh, we
we've
have
got Bill
lawyer
if we want to get an
Richmond
update.
on Skype.
That's exciting.
All right. Well, why do I have this on? This is look at this. This is pulling my hair back. I look like I have a Biden hairline. It was pulling this back like Nicolas Cage. Watching the Joe Biden town hall. I believe that he's done an excellent job. I hope you're hungry now. I know a place where we can get some dumplings. Let's go to half Asian Bill. Tell me you have some good news, please.
Well, we've got some information. I think you guys may have talked about it already, but we've got a man who's possibly a woman, possibly who knows what.
You don't know.
For at least 2 years, according to what we've been able to find online, using a random Gmail account, posing as time warner. Obviously, none of the things that we were doing would have generated an actual copyright strike by anyone with half a brain cell. So we've already notified YouTube at digging, passed the information on, sent a cease and desist to the person who actually submitted it, as well as have done some additional kind of behind the scenes stuff. So hopefully we'll see something coming back up here, but things move slow too.
Yeah, they move slowly, except for people who can get things taken down, despite the fact that they have no ownership, authority, or
there should be some fail safes.
From what I understand,
It
the man who's done it,
pretty quickly, yeah.
This is preliminary research, is in fact cockless.
Oh my gosh!
You know,
wow, we got that information fast.
Gender.
Sure.
It just means that we have no respect for him. All right, listen, Half Asian Bill, your connection is not that strong right now, so thank you for updating us. We will let you go. I appreciate you calling in on short notice, and it's still better than the pixelized 8-bit NES look on CNN. I guess we don't have to really do the piss off YouTube thing here. And I'm sorry, I know tonight went
YouTube already pissed off.
Went off the rails a little bit early on, but I appreciate. Listen, this is the beauty of having you guys, of course, who support us here at Mug Club. we get to continue doing this, and I know that it's a little bit different from what we initially planned. We had some other bits and kind of some fun things planned for you, which we may not get to. Though, well, you wanted to be tased for real. He wanted to actually get the taser, so we're going to do that in a little bit. But let's go around the table here and see what everyone thinks about tonight's performance, since they're talking about it on CNN. What do you think there, Reg the Bandit? Do you think a needle mover?
It's not good. Like, yeah, I think he set a kind of high bar for himself at the DNC. He seemed a little more coherent than usual, and I think that's why people like Trump are saying, "Yeah, I'll do a debate with a drug test," right? Because it was so clearly different, and we know that people who have mental problems, dementia, whatever, they often have good and bad days, right?
Right.
And so it seemed like I thought that, maybe they just dosed him up with something. He took, a little Adderall, maybe just caffeine, who knows what. But he was doing better there than I've seen him do. And so that made me think maybe he could hold his own in a debate if the conditions are right. Tonight, not so promising. Scripted questions from CNN choosing some Democrats and independents, and he still really struggled. It felt like he was just sort of treading water, especially toward the end. I mean, I feel like I saw a deterioration as the night went on.
Yeah.
The question about farmers, the answer did not make sense to me. Yeah. And so I think if he cannot even give really
a shorter. How long was Trump? Was it?
It was an hour and a half.
It was an hour and a half.
Yeah, it was 15
and this was
minutes
what?
shorter.
An hour?
15? Was it an hour and a half, or did it go to 45 on the clock?
I don't remember. That's a good question.
I think it went at least 15, probably 20-something minutes longer.
Yeah, and I mean, half the questions are, Biden, how do we know how bad Trump is? And so it's like if you can't,
and if they weren't, he'd turn it to that.
Yeah. So I think it was pretty bad just because, it wasn't disastrous, but I just feel like it really does not bode well for him going against someone like Trump.
To me is telling? So they want to say, Donald Trump has mispronounced words. And yeah, listen, of course, we'll give you that. He has done that, and everyone has done that. And he maybe does it more than, I don't know that he does it more than Barack Obama. Barack Obama would do that quite a bit. And then Barack Obama, when he couldn't think of, would just make words up. Like, we've been wee-weed up, or as opposed to, you remember that? My mom said, don't get all wee-weed up. And then everyone tried to look at like Urban Dictionary and cultural lexicons, and it was not a thing that had ever been
this
used.
isn't real. No.
And then Joe Biden, of course, talked about shaking hands with people at Amy's Diner that have been closed for 29 years. So Joe Biden actually makes up words that aren't really words in describing events with people he never met in places that don't exist. Yeah. And I think that's a little bit different. But I
Trump
also
said Thailand. So
Trump said Thailand, which, by the way, he might have been saying as a dig. Trump,
fair point.
Thai lady boyland, Hunter, you know what I'm talking about. But Joe Biden, at least when Donald Trump the other day, I remember him having a misspeak. And I've had this. Listen, everyone has this on air. You can listen to anybody, especially someone who speaks quickly. You see it with Ben Shapiro. You can see it with any host. You can see it, of course, with Chris Cuomo. You can see it with Tucker Carlson, where then you realize, I've either talked myself into a corner, or I've misused a word, and you correct it. And I remember there were a couple of instances where Donald Trump said maybe a little word whisker, and then fixed it and continued. Joe Biden would mispronounce words, and not mispronounce them like Thailand, but he would say, he said something, I can't remember what it was, where it was like, the equivalent to, like, maybe he meant to say monkey, for example, but he said mucky, something like that.
Malapropism.
Yeah. And he would continue because he didn't even realize it.
Instead of saying China, he said kinda.
Yeah, that's right. Kinda. That's right. Kinda. That's right. So he'd say kinda, and he didn't even have.
He didn't
the
register it. He just continued
to realize, I misspoke. Donald Trump had some moments where, if we were to use that example, where he said, and of course, with with China. Joe Biden goes, and with China, we're going to have to sign a different deal with China.
All men and women created by you know the thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know the thing? The land bridge from China.
And that's what makes you lose a debate. You don't see Trump just lose his train of thought and get owned by reporters, even though he goes head to head with them every day. Right? You see Biden lose his train of thought with friendlies all the time.
Well, and you know what I think, though, too? That's an important point, is Donald Trump does have, and I will say this as something that I'm not proud of, but when I get in rage mode, where I am upset, it sharpens me for sure. I'm someone who kind of does better in the pocket. I'm someone who, they call like a clutch player, I guess, a game day player. There are people who are like that. Donald Trump has a rage that's laser guided at the media. Unlike any president that we've ever seen, unlike any presidential candidate.
That's the man.
Yeah.
He knows who the man is.
Right. And he knows who the man is. Joe Biden really doesn't have a rage in him because he doesn't have anything that he stands for.
Right.
And so he doesn't have anything to bring him back to center line. At least Donald Trump can say, all right, hold on a second, maybe I've gone down a rabbit trail, but I want to get back to the center line, which is calling the media out. I want to get back to the center line, which is saying, listen, the political establishment is not looking out for the best interest of the American people. Whether you agree with him or not, you either agree with him or you don't agree with him because you know that's where he lines up. You know that's his raison d'etre. You know that's his mantra. For crying out loud, make America great again. Biden's, what is it? Rebuild back better?
Back better.
Back better.
It doesn't make any sense at all.
Doesn't even roll.
Joe
Come on.
Biden doesn't have something that absolutely gets the hair on the back of his neck to stand up. He doesn't have anything that's worth fighting for. This is a guy who has been living comfortably at the government teat, suckling at it, like one of those farm animals at the farm banks, his entire life. And he's never really, not never, I should say, not since being whatever it is, 27 years old, and he's 92 now. At least in half a century, he's never really had to scrape and claw and fight for it. And sure, Donald Trump might be a billionaire, but he's had to fight for that every step of the way, if not to get it because he was raised in wealth and he's acknowledged it and he's grateful for it, since running for president and becoming president, because it is under attack every moment of every day. And we see tonight with the softballs, that just doesn't happen with Joe Biden. He is weaker. It is victory. You know, that victory has defeated you, but it's not being challenged has defeated Biden. You are talking about putting two people into a cage, one of whom has had to fight, let's say 4 or 5 times a year would be really, really heavy duty for a boxer, for a fighter, and Joe Biden, who hasn't done it in several decades. That's why they want to keep them apart. Joe Biden has not had to fight, and he doesn't know how to bring the fight back to where he's strongest. So he's lost. He's lost until weak.
And it's been 4 years, but people forget that Trump went up against a very packed Republican field. It was 12 politicians at the top of their game, including Ted Cruz and Rand Paul and these other and other people who are very accomplished debaters.
That's a guy whose dad killed JFK.
I know, monster. But yeah, so he was a guy who again was the only person everybody talked about after these debates.
8 years of Obama, where the media did nothing but just go, "Oh, he's so great,
Right.
Democrat
So
values are great."
He beat a lot of people to even be nominated for the presidency. I think debate is where he shines, and that's a strong reason why they don't want it to happen.
I would say that Hillary's worst performance was still better than this.
Oh yeah.
So that's
Hillary was not nonsensical. Hillary had, her convulsions in the diazepam pen. They were stabbing her like the guy by the fireplace in 310 to Yuma. They're gonna hang me in the morning. That's what they were doing. But that being said, you never saw Hillary and felt bad for her like a grandfather at the Thanksgiving table who shit himself before dessert came. You're like, we got to change him again. We already did it when the stuffing came out. Why did someone give him the broccoli casserole? You're supposed to keep that away from Grandpa Joe. No dairy. Yeah, no dairy.
Not good.
I never felt bad for Hillary in the same way. Like, I never felt with Hillary, and I know what I'm saying. This is a feeling. Okay. Oh gosh, you just tell me that was my shirt unbuttoned this whole time?
You did that on purpose.
Feel for Hillary the way I feel for Joe Biden, where I was saying, you know what, Hillary's Chelsea needs to come in there and throw in the towel and call it.
Right.
Joe Biden, maybe his son's too busy banging widows doing crack, but someone needs to step in. This is not fair. It's not right, and he's not capable.
Well, you see, and they know he's not, because they had a shorter town hall. They gave him softball questions right whenever they came back. The first thing they said was, "Oh, I'm just so great." He stood up and answered questions like he's a toddler. Like, "Oh, you're so good."
Right.
If they actually thought it wasn't a problem, they wouldn't even talk about it.
Yeah.
They wouldn't talk about him.
Even when he was coherent, he was a bad person. So,
yeah, I mean,
like even if we could make sense of every single thing he said, and he could hold his own in a debate, he's all his beliefs are questionable, at least. I mean, and again, he's flip-flopped. He has no core conviction, as you were talking about earlier. He's a bad guy.
That's a good point. I think the only reason that people don't have disdain for Biden like they did for Hillary is no one really understands him.
Right. Yeah.
Right. Like, if I knew what you were saying, you'd get an earful from me, by God.
Maybe that's why he just goes on forever, because he has no principles, and he's just kind of finding words to go on and waiting for him to. Okay, thanks for stopping me. Next question.
Yeah. No, it really is. It's sad to watch. And listen, if he becomes president, I really think it'll be the Harris administration, and I doubt that he would make it all the way through his first term. Remember when Matt Damon was talking about John McCain and the actuary tables?
I
he was talking about Sarah Palin. He was like, I'm really concerned because she could have the keys to the nuclear code if you run the actuary tables. Does anyone actually run those on Biden?
Right. somebody run those on Biden.
Where's Matt Damon? Yeah. Where's Matt Damon? Well, I think he's doing all the pretty horses too.
Well, that actually that kind of leads me to another Blaze question that we had. Somebody asked. So we have Deke here, who asked, why can't President Trump or other Republicans pass legislation that makes mail-in voting illegal while citing the dangers to the Republic's voting that it would introduce? And so I'm just curious, that does seem to be their method, that if Biden loses, you notice how Biden was saying, I'll accept the results of the election when we have all the results in, which is basically saying I won't concede. Right. He's saying the opposite of what he's saying. Right. And so
Hillary Clinton, by the way, also basically refused to do an election.
Yeah.
Well, and she advised Biden not to concede at any point, for any reason.
Even if he loses. Typically is what conceding is.
And I sort of have an answer to this question from the Blaze chat. Not exactly of, I don't know the legislation process of mail-in voting. I imagine that you still have to have some absentee voting available for people who legitimately need it. And it seems that states are making decisions on mail-in voting, within whatever process they have. But I have been reading up recently. It seems that what the Democrats are trying to accomplish is what we call a color revolution, right? In the U.S., tries to inspire this in
revolution from all the coloreds.
So it's actually named after a Philippine revolution, the Yellow Revolution, back in '86. Right. Okay, but it's the people say, oh, there's a coup, right? But it's a specific kind of coup that the U.S. has actually tried to use to weaken Eastern European dictators, where what you do is you get a lot of peaceful protesters that aren't actually peaceful, and then you have a contested election where the results are unclear, and you get that leader out of office. And the main thing that they need for this is some sort of mechanism to question the election results when they happen,
which
right?
they set up.
And so that's that transition integrity project, which again, it's exactly the opposite of what it says.
Right.
It's supposedly this bipartisan group of people, which they say bipartisan based on one former RNC guy who's rabidly anti-Trump now. I think his name is Michael Steele. And you can look this up. They have this.
The guy who had the blog called What's Up. Yeah, that was Michael Steele when he was the RNC chairman. He's like, yo, send your question to What's Up with Michael Steele. I was like, worse than
hey, fellow kids,
this guy sounds
how's it
so
hanging?
Cool.
And he now writes for The Root, which is a far left, publication.
That band
and
sucks.
so the idea that these people are this bipartisan group of people that will tell us if it's a legitimate election, that's what really sort of frightens me, is this idea that you may have the Democrats trying to do that, right? That it's in the books right now. You should look up Norm Eisner, I think is his name, who literally wrote a playbook on how to sort of start color revolutions in other countries, right? And his book is actually titled The Playbook. And so, look it up and research a little bit, but I actually think that's what they're trying to do with the mail-in voting. I don't so much think the mail-in voting, I think it could tilt the election for Biden, but I think actually what they're trying to do is just muddy the waters.
Yeah,
so
it adds that question
we don't
mark.
know.
They're trying to erode trust in the When they say Donald Trump is trying to erode trust in the American voting process, he wants people to go out and vote as we have always done. And the scientists have said it's perfectly fine, it's perfectly safe to do right now. Fauci has said it, other scientists have said it. Right. Instead, the left right now, they don't want you to trust it unless there's mass mail-in voting, which is not the same as absentee voting. It doesn't have the same checks and balances. Yeah. And this is why I talk about the man, and I want to go to your point here, Wade. When I talk about the man, it's not just the man in office. Think about this for a second. We have a man in office who is saying, we should vote as we have always voted. Every person gets a vote. Every vote should be counted. This is the only way that we can ensure that is the case. You can see that the voting that happened with New Jersey. You can see this vote when mail-in voting has happened in other states, that there have been problems. We haven't seen the fraud on a massive scale because we haven't implemented this on a massive scale yet. But you have a president saying every person's vote should be counted. That's the man in the White House. But then you have CNN, ABC, NBC, CBS, these organizations all saying, hey, and of course, big tech saying, we're going to fact check anyone who says that the president has won on the night of the election, which is how elections have always been called. Right. Who's the man? Yeah. Who's the person with power? Who's swimming upstream? Who is fighting an uphill battle? Who is Goliath? The president of the United States is not the man with this, again, because he's the president of the United States. I know many of you can't be bothered to pick it up, but if you read the Constitution, or if you watch 20 minutes of Schoolhouse Rock, for crying out loud,
there's a cartoon on
you would understand that the president does not have the kind of unfettered power that Joe Biden wants to make it seem to be, and that Joe Biden would like to have as president, throwing out mask mandates and farm banks. every single answer to a question, too, from the Democrats is the same way they employ their businesses, like we see with YouTube and CNN and Twitter and Facebook, is we have ultimate and absolute control. We're going to make sure that we fact check anyone who disagrees with us, and we're going to make sure that this becomes the rule on our platform. We're not going to apply it equally. That's the same thing that Joe Biden, if you look at his answers, he wants to do as president of the United States. Let me just leave it at this. When people say one person is a fascist, that Donald Trump is a Nazi, that this is a guy who wants to seize control and power, if you're going to follow the trend, okay, if you're going to look at Donald Trump, the things that they complain about, right, is he's cut taxes. Ooh, that's evil. He hasn't forced a mask mandate. That's what a fascist would do. Let people go out. He hasn't forced people to go out and express it. He has allowed people the choice of schools, right? School choice. He doesn't want to keep nonviolent drug offenders in jail past their stay so that they can be used as free labor for the state, as Kamala Harris. If you just look at the trend, at the very least, Donald Trump has, if you hate him, half and half. The policies that you hate him for is that he has afforded people more freedoms through cutting taxes and giving them the right to speak their mind and live as they see fit. Any policy with which conservatives disagree with Joe Biden is because of a reach for more unfettered power. So if you're going to talk about a fascist, I would say it's the guy who says he's going to force people to wear masks. It's the guy who's going to work with entities that are going to fact check and refuse to concede to the election and increase taxes on all Americans, and the party that wants to limit free speech and, by the way, writes a 5-page climate bill that gives them total and complete unfettered power over not only climate, energy, businesses, but social justice. I would say the trend is pretty consistent that one person in this race, Joe Biden, wants to limit your freedoms, wants to limit your opportunities. This is the only time I can ever remember. Maybe you saw it with Barack Obama, but this is a generation of people. If you look at the rioters and the protesters in the streets right now who are committing $2 billion worth of damages at minimum, and we know that number is higher, they are rioting in the streets. They are protesting and marching, demanding fewer rights than ever before, and calling the people who want us to maintain our God-given rights, not government-given rights, our constitutionally recognized rights, fascists. Never seen it in the history of the United States. Burning shit down and rioting to demand fewer rights. That is scary. You had a point.
Yeah, I was just going to say, we've had almost 250 years of peaceful transition of power. No matter how much division we've had in the country and how diametrically opposed candidates have been, the transition from one president to another has been peaceful. When one side starts saying that, hey guys, watch out, there's going to be some kind of non-peaceful transfer of power, that is an aberration, and again, these are means that we've not seen used in this country. We've seen it used in other countries, of course.
Yeah, and Donald Trump is only a fascist if you think America has been fascist all this time. He's the one who wants to stick with the rules we have. It's the other side that wants to change the rules of the game that we're playing. And so I think that's
when
really,
people say he's a fascist because he's doing away with critical race theory. Do you know what critical race theory is? Do you guys know what critical race theory is? Critical race theory believes in doing away with the entire capitalistic system. It believes that these ideas of family, of freedom, freedom to assemble, freedom of speech, rule and law are inherently white ideals. That's what critical race theory believes, because they say that white people have written the history books. Now, that may or may not be true with most history books, so I'm willing to bet that if you look at high school curriculums, you probably have some Zs who are writing the history books these days. But again, this is wanting to upend and change the entire system. That's what critical race theory is. Saying we're going to do away with that and teach young children that all Americans, all people are created equal, that they should all have the same inherent, unalienable rights, and that we should judge them by the content of their character, not the color of their skin. That, to me, is not the radical point of view. When people say he wants to destroy American institutions like critical race theory, no, that's something you shoehorned in very recently to try and pull at the thread of what has made the United States of America, America. And at a certain point, too, you also do have to tell people, I hate that argument, like, if you don't like America, get the hell out. But if you don't like what the United States of America stands for, if you don't believe in the First Amendment, you don't believe in the freedom of speech, you don't believe in the right of people to have to peaceably assemble, you don't believe in freedom of religion, you don't believe that churches can meet unless they're wearing some mask that you said they shouldn't wear only 3 months ago, and you don't believe in the Second Amendment, listen, you don't like the United States of America, this just isn't the country for you.
Yeah. Yeah, and on that subject of critical race theory, you know that Robin DiAngelo, who wrote White Fragility, that's a real popular book. This is what she says about free societies. She says that, you know, the idea of individual autonomy that underlies liberal humanism, the idea that people are free to make independent, rational decisions that determine their own fate, was viewed as a mechanism by critical race theory for keeping the marginalized in their place by obscuring larger structural systems of inequality. In other words, it fooled people into believing they had more freedom and choice than societal structures would actually allow. So what they're saying is that actually a free society is counter to their fundamental worldview, right? It's just this manifestation of white supremacy.
And that's why they also believe that you need to check your privilege, period. If you live in, it's not just if you're white, if you live in a country that has been at any point established by a majority of white people, you are therefore a part of this majority, and you need to check your privilege, sit down and shut up. That's why you have people out there. Listen, black Americans who lived through the Civil Rights Act, they didn't feel entitled to get up on presidential candidate stage and steal their microphone. That would have been unheard of. They would say, well, listen, we want equal rights. We're not for theft.
Yeah.
We're not for assault. Right. But now it's, hey, if you say, hey, hold on a second, I'm for equal rights, but I'm not for theft or assault. Critical race theory, and like you're talking about that book, DiAngelo, is, hey, you don't even have a right to say you're against theft or arson with the wildfires. You have to sit down and shut up because of the color of your skin exclusively.
Yeah.
And Donald Trump is saying, we're going to do away with that in schools. That's not what we should be teaching our children. That is not creating a whole new system and eroding trust in American institutions. That is reverting American institutions to what they always had been and what they were designed to be and what we got right. I would say after the 1960s, we got those things right when we had full and total equality. And if you look at the state of African American families and all minorities in the United States, they were doing better than they are now, than after the Model Cities program, if you look at Lyndon Johnson, than after the welfare reform that you see that happened under Bill Clinton. They were doing better. We had stronger families. We had stronger black households. They had lower crime. They had more fathers in the households. Why do you think at this point Donald Trump is leading with Latino voters in Miami? Now, a big part of that is the Cuban vote, but guess what? Latinos at this point in this country are rejecting this idea that, oh, okay, Jesus, you think we only care about immigration? Come on, we're people too, okay? We have other things that we care about. You say we pay taxes, but I pay taxes. I don't want to pay that much in taxes, okay? Like, they have rejected this idea now that they should be seen exclusively through the prism, through this lens of race. Yeah. And that's why I disagree with identitarians. That's why I disagree with the far right that you see from Europe. Now, that stems from what? Europe is very different. These countries were a people. They were a race. People in South America, they saw themselves as a race of people. Now, the United States of America really is a people. But it's a people, we have a people that are Irish, Italian, Jewish, Portuguese American, Colombian American, African American. We are all Americans now because we're several generations into this melting pot where we subscribe to these inherent values and ideas. And you are seeing now identitarians, the people who say it's about white. And if this country isn't just a huge majority white, we're going to lose the country. No, you just need to mitigate the losses with minorities who have been taken for granted for so long. You're seeing Trump lead with Latinos. You're seeing polls come out over 30% approval with black Americans. That is monumental, and we need to build on that rather than taking a page from the leftist playbook and focusing on race. We are a people now in the United States. Unlike Europe, unlike the entire continent of Africa, we're not a people predicated on a race. We are a people now several generations deep who have subscribed to fundamentally, inherently American values, which, by the way, are very unique values. People understand freedom of speech doesn't exist in any other country outside of the United States. It's not a thing. The Second Amendment, as we have it in the United States, is not a thing anywhere else. You may not like it, but that's what makes us unique, like Mexico with sombreros and tacos. We all have our culture. I like American culture. I think it's better than other countries. That's why I choose to live here. And I don't want to erode trust in those American values or institutions, and neither does Donald Trump. The people who say, let's do away with everything that has made America the United States of America and teach people that they should see everyone through the lens of race, like South American countries, like African countries, like Europe did for a very long time, and likely will do again, because we all know with Europe, they kind of get it right for a few decades, then they fuck up again. I actually think that America has done it better than any other country, and I would like it to stay that way. Let's go to that costume, right? That costume. Speaking of weird things that were
that was like terrifying.
What was
yeah, we do have the detail here, but we also now I'll just give you a detail here. ACAB and Me Too. So that was the detail on that face makeup there.
Oh, okay.
So
now, so great attention to detail from our costume winner there. Now, I do have to tell you that YouTube has just emailed and said we can start a new stream if we like.
Oh, that'd be great. Just start from zero. Yeah.
Oh, well, that's very nice. We don't want to start streaming on YouTube now, do we?
No. Nah. We don't give them.
Well,
anything.
listen, hey, YouTube, I will say this. I appreciate that they got on it quickly, but you couldn't do that shit in 2018? YouTube? You couldn't do that? Some guy with a Hotmail address got the better of you? You want to convince us that you guys are the end-all, be-all of tech, and we should also trust you as it relates to your unbiased algorithms? And we don't want to erode trust in American institutions, but all of a sudden the search results for Tulsi Gabbard and Steven Crowder changed my mind, don't show up. We should trust YouTube, but you can't deal with a guy with an iPad and a Hotmail address. Well, thank you. All that's happened is our sponsorship revenue and our actual stream, which has been more popular than these main network streams for a long time, didn't get to air. So, you know what? I guess let's call it a wash. Or you can lick my balls, YouTube, and start getting it right from here on out. You know what? We were going to be selling that shirt of my mug pissing on the YouTube logo, but now we're going to mark that down in price just so we can sell it like it's Tickle Me Elmo in the 1990s, you sons of bitches. I am so tired of this shit from YouTube. Oh, we fixed it now. First off, you could have fixed it within minutes, okay? Even just your little community guideline strikers who walk out like fucking retarded Ewoks, okay? Shooting, I don't even know what that is. That's a bad thing. And are there the good guys in Star Wars? I don't care. I have a wife. My point is, you could have fixed it immediately when it happened. You didn't until it was done. And you could have fixed it 2 years ago when this guy was serial flagging content. How do you not have a system in place to verify some kind of authentic authority for people to have content removed? I thought open exchange of ideas was welcome on YouTube. This is why no one believes you. This is why no one believes you, and I hope that there is some legislation that forces you to answer for this idea of being a public platform or a publisher. I really do. So thank you for getting it right an hour and a half later, but you know what? We don't get that revenue back.
Nope, it's gone.
We don't get it back.
It's kind of like if the Nigerian scammer, you'd been sending him money since 2018.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
Which, by the way, YouTube also did because, he's Nigerian. What choice do we have?
Yeah. Let's just send it to him. Why not?
What can we do? It has Nigeria in the name.
Well, they know that they can't actually stand up to a free exchange of ideas. They know that Biden can't handle being criticized. They know that Trump needs to actually, take a few steps down if he's actually going to be able to compete with Biden. But Biden, they're giving him every single advantage that they can, and he's still Biden.
You know what it is? It's an oopsies after the fact. Well, what kind of effect do you think that has had on the interpretation of the Biden town hall? Right?
Yeah.
How many people? You're talking about millions of people who watch these, right? And people who stay. We know this compared to television, where the average watch time is measured by seconds, hours by how many half hours people watch. YouTube, you know that. That's why it really stung for you to demonetize this channel, because we don't post clickbait, 50 videos a day like the Young Turks. We post one to this channel and then several clips to Crowder Bits. It's an oopsies after the fact. They want to pull that same oopsies after the fact with mail-in voting. It's the same thing. You don't get it back, guys. You don't get it back. It's a system that's untested. Where we have tested it, it hasn't worked. It's been a monumental screw-up. It's been a screw-up of Bluto-Blutarski proportions, and you want us to trust you going into the election. It's like YouTube right now saying, hey, we can't tell you who our accountability partners are here. We can't tell you who determines what is advertiser-friendly, what is guideline-friendly. We can't tell you what is considered borderline content, which is a third standard, by the way, outside of community guidelines and advertiser-friendly, something that a lot of people don't know. We can't tell you that, but you should trust us. And by the way, you should trust us even though someone who goes around false flagging shit since 2018 with a Hotmail account got the better of us. You should trust us. We don't know exactly how mail-in voting is going to work compared to absentee voting, where you have some kind of verification process for identification and confirmation of address. We do know that it didn't work really well where we tried it, where we had over 60,000 votes, I believe, something like that in New Jersey that had to be measured after the election. Talking about hundreds of votes in other. We do know where we've done it, it hasn't worked that well, but you should trust us. And after the election, after Joe Biden has refused to concede because he said that he would, and Hillary Clinton encouraged him to do anything other than concede, and Twitter and Facebook and YouTube have jumped on board saying, we will fact check anyone claiming that Donald Trump wins on election night because we believe in this completely unvetted, unchecked process. process, unauthenticated, unverified process, but you should trust us. And then afterwards they go, oopsie, only we have the wrong guy in office. Well, guess what? I don't trust you. I trust you, YouTube, about as far as I could throw Chris Cuomo. And granted, that's pretty far because he doesn't have the bone density. You know, that's what happens when you do steroids. You look bigger than you actually weigh because there isn't the same kind of connective tissue growth.
Bones.
But I'll look for, when I throw him brittle bones. I trust you about as far as I could throw Chris Cuomo, which is pretty far, but not far enough. So I'm not willing to.
I don't have the P&G to come down.
This is what I got for you, YouTube. And this came from Wardrobe, so these pants are a little bit tight. Get it? Look at it! You like it like Anderson Cooper's purple tie. Actually, it is purple because these have been riding up on me, so I'm sure it would look like a purple beating heart.
I don't want that imagery.
All right, on that note, do you really want to be tased? All right, let's bring the taser in. Smooth Manny has been requesting that he be tased all day.
So this is real though, like
yeah, you're going to be the one tasing.
Yeah, like a real taser.
Oh my
Let's get a taser. Let's bring in the taser wherever it is.
Manny has said earlier to me today that he would not cry from pain. So I just think we should remember that.
What's the last time you cried about something?
Oh, that's okay. All right. So since Wade is the one who has the biggest problem, with it, I can't do it. I'm a boss. It's the differential of
power. Does he have to sign something?
He's already signed it.
Can you say on camera?
You guys didn't read your contracts. This isn't all of them.
All
right, so hold on a second.
Signed away.
We are going to thank you. So hold on, wait 1 second. I do need to have one announcement before we go out. We have a permit we are getting a permit for the Michigan Capitol in Lansing on Friday, October 2nd. Probably one of the biggest events that we've ever done. We will have details to follow on Monday. Next Friday, October 2nd, we will be having a rally at the state capitol in Michigan to call on the governor for some accountability. We're looking forward to that. Can someone please get here?
Biden.
Who has that?
Come on, you guys have a taser over there.
I can't reach that far with the water bottle.
Hey, you're gonna mess up the wall.
October 2nd. Get the hell out of here, Biden. Get out. That's enough.
What is wrong with
That's enough. How long does he have to wear the cone?
He keeps licking
October
himself.
2nd. We will see you there, Lansing, October 2nd. And as we send you off, again, the promo code for anyone who was out there, wasn't able to watch on YouTube, please send it to your friends, is Crowder Trump Stream. They will get $20 off for the next 24 hours.
Crowder Biden Stream.
What did I say? Crowder Trump Stream?
Yes, you did.
Crowder Biden Stream.
Crowder Biden Stream.
See, we correct it. I have accountability. If I were Joe Biden, you'd say, good job. Close enough. And we will leave you with the soothing sounds of Manny being tased.
Okay.
Audio Wade, take it away.
Okay.
Let's.
Oh, jeez.
Okay, get him again. Get him again. Get him again. Bye, everybody. We will see you Monday. Get him again, Audio Wade. Get him again. Bye. Love you.
Underneath all the circumstances. So when you say I and point to the I as that which doesn't change, it cannot be what happens to you, it cannot be the thoughts, it cannot be the emotions, the feelings that you experience. So what is the nature of I? What does that word mean or point to? So when you say I and point to the I as that which doesn't change, it cannot be what happens to you, it cannot be the thoughts, it cannot be the emotions, the feelings that you experience. So what is the nature of I? What does that word mean or point to? Untouched by time. Every answer generates further questions.